Hello there.
This is where the fun begins. I hear the drums echoing tonight. And she
Yeah.
hello
God.
there.
Hello there. I'm gonna have that
How's
song
Tom
stuck in my
doing?
head all fucking day now.
I
Or for
know,
the rest,
right?
At least for the rest of the evening. But yes, yes. Welcome everyone for another
man.
Tuesday night, another issue of the Dork.
You little scamp.
That's right. We have a lot to talk about. Yes.
Yeah, not just the Mandalorian trailer that just dropped. We've also got the third episode of Bad Batch, which came out last week, and the finale to Willow. We're going to get into all of that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But first of all, hello there. How's
Hello
everybody doing?
there. Yes. Quick shout out to Todd. Hello. It's been a while. Yes.
What's up, man?
Good to see you, sir.
Here's-
Very always wonderful to hear from you. Yeah, excited. I know we've like kind of chatted between, and we're super excited to hear and see all your future projects that are coming up. But yes, thank you for joining with us this evening. It's kind of
glad we were able to
appropriate.
catch
It's
him.
kind of appropriate also that we opened with fucking Toto's Africa, especially because I'm not sure if you wanted to jump immediately into
Let's
Willow
damn the
finale.
torpedoes. We are going in.
Yeah. So also speaking of something we're going to talk about, or at least I'm going to mention out real quick, because obviously with the Talking of Mando season 3, the first episode of The Last of Us did air over the weekend.
Yes.
Big shout out to the amazing Pedro Pascal,
The Pedro Pascal era is upon us now.
Work alongside Liana Mormont as his main co-star.
Bear Island
for this series,
and the Worst Witch, which I did not even know that they remade, but she is the Worst Witch in that, which is cool.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Yeah, we got to get into that at some point. But yeah, I've never played The Last of Us completely.
Me either.
Going into
Never
this,
played
so
it either.
I'm going into this purely as just like a viewer standpoint. But from what I saw last night and from everything that I've been hearing from the cosplay community, because I follow a couple of cosplayers who absolutely love the game franchise and the game story, and they've been really hyped about it. And aside from, you know, the hype of obviously is Pedro Pascal, like you did a good job, like everything casting wise and story wise, like visual, like we'll break it down a little bit later. But yeah,
I watched it. I watched the first episode as well.
Or you did?
Also haven't played the game.
Yeah.
Haven't so we have the exact same level of experience with The Last of Us as a franchise. Like neither of us played it, but we're both like I know some beats of the story just because like, you know, everybody talks about it all the time.
Exactly.
Like I knew
because of the fact the second game, like part of it took place in Seattle. So,
right,
like,
that's what put it on my radar. I was like, okay.
When when the second game like first came out like a few years ago, like it was hilarious seeing all the screenshots of like people being able to visit the fucking Washington State Convention Center, and like there were certain parts of downtown Seattle that like you were able to
renting the game just so I could walk around the map and see how accurate it was.
Funny.
Yep.
Like, yeah, so 80s wise, music wise, or like Willow. So let's dive into Willow.
Let's do Willow
thoughts first. So do you want to talk about the overall series first, or do you want to talk about the season finale first?
We'll start with the season finale because that is the most recent, fresh thing, and then we'll sort of end that with overall thoughts.
Overall season thoughts.
Let's do it. Let's go fantasy with this.
Yeah.
Huh? Let's go fantasy. Boom. Oh, Nockmar. I got Nockmar in the
Yeah, I
tank
was gonna
here.
say that was Rivendell. We can't use the Rivendell picture.
I know. It's not that interchangeable. Which is a big point that they've made in Willow, that not all fantasy has to be the same. Doesn't have to all be interchangeable. And I think that even though the music doesn't jive with me personally, like some of the songs I thought was like, oh, that was a choice. I totally respect them for being bold and trying something that like potentially people won't like, and a lot of people didn't like. But
Mhm.
honestly, it grew on me, and by like some of the songs actually like were perfect. Like that Metallica cover, totally worked. The Enter Sandman totally worked.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. There was so my immediate thought, like, so for the finale, for example,
Yes.
and the fucking I can't remember the name of the song right now, but like uh, fuck with the song, your chick, money for nothing and your chicks for free. Like, there's a
Oh,
couple.
right.
If they really wanted to go with 80s songs, there's two way better choices that they could have gone with. They could have
Sure.
easily, they
I
could
mean,
have
dude, there's so many songs
gone
they could go with.
they could have easily gone with "Ain't Talking About Love" from Van Halen, because that guitar intro, fucking phenomenal.
I feel like
And
it was too
the lyrics,
expensive.
yeah, and the lyrics though played a lot more in tandem to like what the sort of story and theme of the episode was. The other one I was thinking of was "Firewoman" from The Cult,
Oh,
and
that could work.
to anyone who's like seen the Doctor Who episode where they used that song, like it works, it's great. And then so like for this situation, they could have done it. But the biggest piss off thing that I think they could have, like, because I'm on the opposite side of the Katarn coin. I really didn't like the music at all. What I thought they could have done, which could have gone on like way better, that still would have fit within the fantasy genre, is if they did what Westworld did and they
Mm.
took current pop songs, but they used medieval, or not medieval, but they used like the crank piano, and like they used Western
That
instruments to play modern songs. Knight's Tale did it too. So it's like if you used
yes, technically like contemporary-ish, but I mean it's the fucking Rolling Stones.
well, and it was David Bowie.
Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly. It's like
you
it's
get what I'm
covers
saying.
of older stuff. But you're right. It's like
Yeah, they could
contemporary
have used.
versus the
Yeah,
Wild
they
West
could have used.
versus like feudal Japan.
Yeah,
The
they could have
samurai
used
cover
different.
of Painted Black was dope. I loved that in Westworld.
Yeah, shout out to Westworld for having amazing cover music. But with Willow, yes, okay. So season finale.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought that they could have done, which goes in tandem to your Twitter post about Star Wars wise, what's your favorite way of that they've used special effects, either CGI,
Right.
puppetry, or I forget what your third
Stop
one was.
motion.
Oh, miniatures, or but yeah. So with the crone character, dude, they could have monster make up that, like, they all four of her henchmen were real people. She easily could have been a real person. The fact that she was a CGI blob
Was she
monster,
completely CGI?
it was completely CGI, and it really is.
Interesting. I didn't think she looked totally CGI. I thought it was like a person in practical effects and then like CGI enhanced.
Not at all.
Except for some shots, like obviously when she's flying and stuff.
With the weird octopus tentacles coming out of her. Yeah, I don't know. There were certain choices that I thought could have been
Well, it
better.
can't look too fancy. It's
Overall,
gotta look like an 80s fantasy at the end of the day,
yeah,
too.
which would have been not CGI, which would have been making it a practical
Totally.
costume. Like
Totally.
the Lich, like the Doom, like the giant. I can't remember what the
The
big
freaking were rat in the sewers
the were rat. Those were
might have been
perfect.
my favorite creature. That might have been my favorite creature we saw in the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. There were
There are
things.
things I was disappointed with, like the trolls. We spent a whole episode in in the mines of Skellen. Not a single troll ran on a wall or upside down or did any of the creepy climby stuff that like is the only thing we've seen trolls do in the movie. And I was really hoping that like it's so obvious we're in a mine. It's all deep chasms. Why don't the trolls just like crawl along on shit? Like it would have been so easy to add that in there.
Yeah, I think they.
But I
Really
don't know. It was a thing that I thought of after I finished watching the episode. Like I didn't think that at the time and get disappointed. It was like this is awesome, and then that would have been nice,
Yeah.
as an afterthought.
Or if they even like gave us a teeny bit of backstory, just a tiniest bit of backstory. If like, what if it was cool that like the trolls were the one that destroyed the Elwyn village? Or like, what if there were different sections of Bone Reavers, and like some of the Bone Reavers were bad guys and some of the Bone Reavers, were the ones that we found out that are
I
related
feel like
to
it's still possible to do
Lead and
all of those
Berserker.
things. I feel
You
like
know,
that's all season 2 material. You got to introduce it and then you expand on it, you know?
or like we could have had way more brownies, but like I feel like there were
The
certain
brownies
things.
was like really brief. I
Yeah,
feel like there must have
there
been
was
a
one.
practical
There's
reason
one
why, like
brownie we saw.
the schedule didn't line up or something. Like there had to be a reason why that was so short in the show. Because
But
like
I feel
it,
like there could
it,
have been more Willow stuff to make it feel like a Willow show. Because we said
sure,
multiple times, this feels like a D&D show. This is a D&D quest. This is the,
yeah, yeah, it really did.
but it wasn't Willow, like it wasn't quite like Ron Howard's world. It was just like, oh, we're going to take these aspects of Willow and we're going to completely make our own thing with it, which is fine.
Which is
But at the
exactly what they
same
did.
time, yeah, but it's like there's like
It was,
Bavmorda's castle. We could have done so much more with Bavmorda's castle.
you didn't like what we got with Bavmorda's castle?
There could have been more, or like
What
what?
like
Like it
what?
could
Give
have
me an
been
example of
overrun
what more could have been added to that. What would
more
you have added
episodes.
in there?
Like it could have been a heavier set, or like it could have been overrun with trolls, or it could have been overrun with bone reavers, or fuck, the bone reavers could have taken over Bavmorda's castle instead of us getting like the weird, Tale of a Thousand Thieves people like living camping in the forest.
So they'd like fight to take over the castle again.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
We've already seen that though. That's what they did in the movie.
Did they though? We saw the Tears
Yeah.
soldiers.
They fought the father of all bone reavers on the steps of the fucking castle. That's literally what happened at the third act of Willow.
I know, but like there could have been more that they did with the show that showed like why it's abandoned, or I don't know.
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. There's a ton more things they can do, and I think that's why it's really expensive. Why it's really important for them to renew Willow, because it hasn't been renewed yet. They gave us that little tease at the end with the book being put on the shelf next to Volume 2 and Volume 3, but that's not like an official confirmation. Because I agree, we could get so much more. There's a whole lot of unexplored things, and they've only sort of scratched the surface. Like they gave us the Bone Reavers, but they didn't delve into what Bone Reaver Society is. But if we get a season 2, that could be a thing, and so on and so forth. Like a whole lot of establishing had to be done here in order to like give us our whole cast of characters. And now that we know who everybody is, they can really do some like lore deep dives. That's my hope. I hope it does get renewed.
They could have introduced the Crone character a little bit earlier instead of just like this random, like
they did kind of hold her back long to the point where like it kind of was deliberate. I feel like they wanted you to sort of forget about the Crone so that when Eric meets this young girl in the Immemorial City, we don't immediately go, oh, obviously it's the Crone kind of thing, They were trying to make us forget about it, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. There is certain things that I think could have been emphasized more on story-wise that they put other emphasis on just because they were like, oh, we got to make it modern. And it's like, no, you don't have to make it modern. Like for example, something that aesthetically kind of bothered me, which was just it's a pointless thing. It's a really niche pointless thing. But I'm gonna say like the zippers. The fact that there were zippers on denim jackets and that people were wearing denim jackets just like kind of, I don't know. It threw me out. It threw me out of the world.
It's uncommon. It's a unique spin on it. I'm actually going to go to a lecture tomorrow night at the university, which is about fantasy storytelling, and it's going to delve into the idea of why are we so obsessed with the 1400s through 1600s of medieval history and nothing else. Like you'll notice, all the castles have to be the architecture of this time period. All the costumes come from this little slice of human history, and we never really deviate from it. So when you see things like zippers and denim, it feels weird,
because they're factory made objects. So it's like unless they were to like somewhat emphasize that it's like semi steampunky.
Well, see, that's what I actually love about this idea is that it was a straight up fantasy world of the 80s fantasy variety back when Willow came out. Mm-hmm. Now 20 years have gone by, and in those 20 years the world has sort of gotten to the cusp of an industrial revolution.
Well, we didn't get to see any of it.
Well, sure, because 20 years have gone by and they haven't been making concurrent Willow stuff this whole time. But think of the Legend of Korra,
they straight up showed in Legend of Korra
as steampunky. No, but episode 1 they had fucking buses and trams and shit. Like we didn't immediately know what was going on. They then took their time to show what was happening, but they still jumped us in.
True.
That's what I'm saying. Is like this is the evolution of that same fantasy world. Like time has gone by, and unlike fucking Game of Thrones, where in 1,000 years we're still in the Middle Ages.
Yeah,
what
right.
the fuck is that? No,
Yeah,
20
yeah,
years have gone by and innovation has happened in those short 20 years. I kind of like that better. That's a unique take on fantasy. Instead of it always being exactly the same, it's like we never leave this century, no matter how much time goes by.
that's true.
I appreciate Willow for trying to break that mold a little bit.
That's true. That's fair. If we
But
were
it's also fair for it to feel
well,
weird because it is kind of outside the rules of where you
it is
set your,
outside of the rules,
you
yeah.
know.
Because like again, using the Legend of Korra example, like yeah,
I know I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
the first thing we saw was the Northern Water Tribe, which is obviously very Inuit
Right.
society, and then we get into Republic City. But like with Republic City, they very like straightforward kind of emphasize that like this is now city versus like kind of
There's factories,
well,
there's smokestacks and
I guess there
pollution
was
in the
always
air and like
like the fucking Fire Nation. They always sort of
well,
had
that's
factories,
why
and
the Fire Nation was
yeah,
able to
they were
dominate the
fully
world
they
because
were fully
unlike
industrial.
earthbending and waterbending, firebending allows you to create combustion engines and
Yeah,
technology. That's why they rolled up with fucking tanks and shit because they had smelted steel together
that's true.
versus like
True.
the bamboo armor of the water tribe. Like, get the fuck out of here. There's a reason they were winning the war until the Avatar showed up. Because unlike the other benders, their bending actually enhances everything around them. Yeah, no, they had industry on their side.
Just true. Or like the arcane world from Netflix. Like they kind of are on the titter tatter of like magic still exists, but then science is also there. So they're like kind of trying to fuse them together, sort of a thing. But they make an emphasis of showing that there's these modern things within the medieval city still.
Yeah.
Or like versus just like, oh, we're gonna be purely medieval, but zippers. Or like we're gonna be purely medieval, but we're gonna play pop punk.
There's little pockets of futurist stuff in an otherwise normal medieval kind of society.
Yeah.
I can get behind the denim. Denim makes sense to me because this is also a world where magic exists.
Yeah.
So that kind of precludes you from being like, that doesn't make sense. It's like wizard.
True, right?
You can't
Or
say
like,
that a wizard didn't make the threads of that denim go and do its own thing without industrial technology, It's possible. Highly unlikely and very fucking goofy. But if you ask me, highly unlikely and very fucking goofy are on brand for Willow.
I suppose so.
Not saying that's the actual explanation, but that's a plausible,
Yeah.
Imagine the first wizard discovering denim. Oh, geez. I want a whole story about that.
Yeah. It would have
then
been.
he comes downstairs and the other guy's like, Balthazar, what is that ridiculous thing you're wearing? And he's like, I call them bell bottoms.
You probably, yeah. I'm sure there's like some fucking Harry Potter story of wizards discovering Muggle clothes or Muggle shit and being like, "Oh, look at this fancy thing I just found from the normal people."
It's the scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Danny DeVito and Charlie Day are boiling the bootleg jeans. Only it's Gandalf and Radagast in their little hut. They fell off of a wagon.
But again, going back to Willow, so shout out to whoever did the fight choreography between the Eric, Kit, and Jade fight. It was
fights were sick.
Fights were absolutely sick. Yeah, even a lot of the magic was cool. A lot of the magic.
Think of the Iron Man sequence. Tantalos putting on the cuirass.
So I don't know. I wasn't sure.
So that shit went into her, right?
Yeah, right. Like
inside her body.
Because like she like made the gut, like she made a gut wrench sound.
I would have made more than that. I would have like screamed and like fallen on the floor and just been like, I don't want it anymore. Take it off.
Right, but like that was kind of the other interesting thing too. So it made her move faster. It was essentially Power Ranger armor because it made her hits a lot stronger and like radiate.
It was like she was wearing an exoskeleton as well as armor. Yeah. It totally supported her movements.
Which kind of goes against like the legends of the circus that we heard, because like we were told that if you put the key into the thing, turn it on, and then just like I don't know, the darkness dispels itself. They didn't really go into emphasis of what the armor.
Well, they just didn't show us.
Right. Yeah, right.
They didn't show us what it was because they didn't want to ruin the whole thing. But I'm assuming that the same thing happened to like the kid that it was made for originally too.
Yeah, but
we never saw that part. Had they like cut away, and then we got like the very vague storytelling, and then darkness was kept at bay, blah blah blah. But
yeah,
I thought it was cool, if a little over the top.
Yeah. But I mean, I definitely appreciated it and liked it, and it was cure ass. So thank you, Paul Hughes. What did I say? Did I say curious?
It is curious.
It is curious. Pronounced
It is
cure
curious.
ass.
They say cure ass on the show because they don't know what a curious is, but
Oh, the golden.
it is
There's a golden curious, right? Yeah, or the
it's a curious.
yeah.
Kit calls it a cure ass.
Fuck, I'm now like
You did call it a circus.
I'm a circus. Oh,
Chimeran circus with the most deadly trapeze artists in all the land.
right. The most Palladian clowns you could ever imagine. No, I'm just getting distracted by all these comments of wizard wranglers. And
I think we need to make this happen as like a skit.
People, but
if there was a particular brand of jeans for wizards, I would definitely buy.
They're like, yes, you need to go seek out Sir Wizard Denim of the Forest. Sir Wizard Denim, he makes the finest trousers and jackets in all the land.
Yeah. You know that Saruman would like when Sharky takes over the Shire at the end of Lord of the Rings, and when he like turns the inn into like the little factory, you know, it's like a bootleg like denim sweatshop. That's what he's doing.
100%. Oh yeah. They're
those
making
those poor hobbits are chained to a bench, bedazzling pockets inside that house.
Yeah, and they're making fake Louis Vuitton purses, and they're making shoes. Yeah, no, all of it.
Oh man, these are the stories Tolkien didn't want you to know.
But yeah, okay, and then also, so they blew up Flash Thompson and teleported him into whatever, hallucinogen world.
Oh my god! I don't know if you've seen Legend of the Seeker, but no. They fully did the whole Dark and Raw story all over again with Graydon. Yeah. He's like the bad guy of that show, and then he gets killed in the end of season 1, and then season 2 he wakes up in the underworld, and it's literally the exact same shot as Graydon waking up. Thankfully, he was wearing clothes this time.
Yeah. And that's the only time we get to see the 2-head fire-breathing monster. Like, fuck you.
Oh, by the way, there was 2 of them. I didn't even notice it first, but there was another one in the background. And this, as a longtime Willow fan, this blew my fucking mind. I've spent my entire life thinking that Willow hit that troll with a spell, right? The Battle of Terrazleen.
Yeah.
And then mutated it into some weird monster and then kicked it into and it grew up into that thing. No, dude, he fucking transfigurated one creature into another kind of creature. That's all he did. Those 2-headed fire-breathing dragons exist in nature. They're called Eborcisks, and there was like actually 2 of them in that crowd shot at the end. But I thought that he just like munted the fuck out of this troll into
That's how I always thought of it. He's just
I know, but no, it was a straight up transfiguration spell, it turns out.
Yeah, technically he did something like that, but that was like the only spell he knew. Yeah, no, it is true. Or the wizard starts a war by jeggings. No, the wizard's name is Jeggings. Are you fucking kidding me? His name is Jeggings, and he creates a hybrid fucking because everyone's still wearing tights and pantaloons, and this motherfucker.
This is gonna be the next campaign that I write for D&D.
Yes.
I have for those of you who don't know, when I write D&D stories, I have a whole council of wizards that are usually featured in all of them, led by Testicles. He is the most powerful member. But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the party's going to have to try and disrupt a bootleg denim operation that's going on under the Wizard Council's noses. It's happening. Yeah, maybe we'll play it on stream.
So for anyone in the chat or Katarn, for you yourself, like if you were to Google image the Tooth Fairy or the Tooth Fairy puppet used in the Darkness Falls movie, which was this horrible, scary movie that came out in like the early 2000s.
Oh, I remember Darkness Falls.
But like that thing was an animatronic. That fucking Tooth Fairy the entire time was a puppet. And they could have done the same thing very easily for the crone, and they didn't. They just made her some melty face.
It's a what now?
Yeah, it's a puppet. It's fake. It's an animatronic thing.
Hold on.
And so, like, I just feel like they very easily could have made the crone a real person and not a CGI melty mess. I think it would have made the wizard fight at the end more cool. It would have given Elora Danan a little bit more to work with instead of. Yeah.
I was impressed with Ellie Bamber's performance, all things considered. I think she did a really good job.
It's true, especially the way she Kamehameha'd her hands and like made the lights come out of her hands. Like, yeah, it's very tricky as you're looking for the photo. I appreciate, and then we'll talk about this again when we get to The Last of Us. It's very tricky to do something like magic and not have your actions or the way that you manifest things in one movie or show not immediately look like another movie in a show. So I was very happy that they didn't kind of like Doctor Strange the situation, or they didn't try to like, um, I don't know. I like that they really did a job to like emphasize what their own magic looked like and how in the
I
movie.
like the visual design of the magic. I think it was you that said that like it arcs out like lightning and forms like a constellation rather
Yes,
than
just a
shooting straight like a
beam,
bolt,
like fucking
which
Harry
I
Potter.
really like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like, I really appreciated that they took the time to create their own individual look for their magic and for their wizard fights. Like, it was great. Are you looking at the Tooth Fairy?
I am trying to find a copy of it that I could grab. I can't seem to get it. Oh well. Oh well. I'm seeing it here though, and wow,
Yeah, it's creepy
that
as
is a
fuck.
crazy looking animatronic.
But they could have done
It
that.
looks
They could
real.
have done that. They could have done it.
Borman, I want to talk about Borman. Borman was the MVP, and I was realizing that his character could have ruined the entire show if they cast the wrong person as Borman. Like,
Yes, if
could have
they.
made the whole thing come crashing down, and he nailed it. He was absolutely hilarious. I loved the fact that his prompt to finally cross that final bridge and like take the leap of faith was that he'd rather do that than get embarrassed and cry in front of Willow.
Or yeah, right. He rather
That was hilarious.
he rather jump over and versus hear that someone's supposedly proud of him. But then also him stepping up and being like, "This isn't my story. This is your story," and like giving the armor to Kit, which also
He was very obviously like the scoundrel with the heart of gold. I knew he was going to make the altruistic choice in the end.
yeah, no,
They tried to lead us astray into like, ooh, is he like betraying them? But no, come on.
yeah.
Eric
Like,
did a good job being a total ditz. Like,
he was ditzy. He wasn't like, I wouldn't even say he was like a rogue class. You know, like there was never a point.
Eric?
Even no, I was sorry. I was still.
Oh, you're still talking about Borman.
Like yeah, there was never really a point where
He doesn't really have stealth down.
he wasn't
No.
someone who was going to betray the team. Like that was never his objective. Like sure, it was like, oh yeah, I have my own secret quest to find this magic armor. But it's like everybody knew that was what he was doing, so it wasn't like he was really
Scoundrel definitely hits better than Rogue, I think, for him.
He was definitely more scoundrel bard than rogue.
Fallen knight, you know.
Himbo, yeah, 100% Dr. Holocron, yes. He wasn't
Is
even
that
a
what
fallen.
that means?
He was a
Like a he bimbo? Is that what himbo means?
Yep.
I finally get it. That makes
himbo.
so much sense now.
Yeah.
Does that make me a himbo? Oh.
No.
I don't know what a lot of stuff means.
That's fine.
Borman was solid. Yes, absolutely. I think the episode that it became really apparent that Borman was like he was going to just be solid for the whole thing was the Castle Nockmar episode when he gets drunk off the spoiled wine, gets obsessed with trying to make his way into the vault, but then just has a tender moment with Jade and is like, it shows that he knows how to like snap out of his own bullshit and be like the older brother when he needs to for the group.
And the fact that he's completely smitten by Jade's older sister, like totally whipped by Jade's older sister. Like that's pretty great. That's just a funny little like, you know, like I could see just at the next quest, Borman randomly like, you know, elbowing Jade and be like, hey, give your sister a good word for me, sort of a deal, or like, hey, does your sister talk about me, sort of a deal,
right?
Like, you know, like
yeah. I'm sure they'll see each other again, or at least I really hope so.
Yeah.
The entire show has just been a fun little bit of escapism.
Again, some of the verbiage of the writing, but I kind of threw me off. But again, like you were saying, who's to say that all fantasy needs to be old English? Like it doesn't always need to be Lord of the Rings,
or like all these people with American accents, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we have an idea of what it is because of the precedents that were set by like the old school fantasies that came out, but they don't necessarily have to be like seen as rule books, more so as like a template that you can go crazy with, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I feel like fantasy that tries to break that mold has a stigma to it too, because so many times like we remember all the unsuccessful examples when people try to do fantasy and it doesn't quite work because it's too far outside of the conventional, it has to look like this time period, the music has to sound like this, and the costumes must be this way, you know. You can't get too modern with it.
I'm trying to think of some solid examples, but I'm like,
see, the thing is, they either become like hated and forgotten, or they become cult classics.
right? Like Robin Hood Men in Tights was very specific about like, this is the feeling that we're going for, and this is the image that we're going for.
You have to set the tone right away.
We're letting you know this right ahead of time, which I think if they did that with Willow, it could have been a little bit easier. But I don't know. I don't want to have to wait till season 2 to find out why Willow's wife died. You know, like it was only until the second to last episode that we found out that his son isn't actually dead. His son just walked out.
Oh, that's right. Brandon is absolutely still out there in the world somewhere.
Yeah, he's just super pissed off because he feels that his dad didn't hold up his responsibilities.
Yeah, that sounds like a badass season 2 plot line. You know, it better happen.
Yeah. Or we don't know that the daughter is still alive. We just know that the lich and the crone fed Willow that, you know, half-assed hallucination of like, oh, I'm going to pretend to be your daughter to creep you out and make you miss home. You know, sort of like
that whole sequence really reminded me of the Labyrinth from David Bowie and like the fancy dress ball that she goes to.
Oh, I thought people just like sequence reminded me of that fucking shit.
Well, that too. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like all these random people dressed all fancy, having a good time, but no one's really like mentally present. You know?
Yeah. Oh, it was totally like Labyrinth.
Very creepy illusion.
100% like the Labyrinth ballroom. 100%. Yeah. And then her waking up and like them breaking out of the stone was totally when she finds what's her name? Not Clara. Is it Clara? Laura? No. Fuck. I don't remember. The Labyrinth lady. She wakes up and she's on the garbage area thing.
Sarah.
What's Sarah?
Turn back, Sarah. Turn back before it's too late. I remember that shit. Yes, David makes up a very good point. It's time to talk about the Mandalorian trailer. What do you think?
Yes, on that. Yes, with the fantasy. Yes. So
yeah, give me your final thoughts on Willow here.
On a closing note. Willow was very beautiful.
Agreed.
I'm glad. So fantasy wise, I'm really glad in this opening of 2023 and the ending of 2022. Again, something we talked about previously. I loved the type of fantasy we got with Game of Thrones or with House of Dragon, because like that's modern
very different fantasy.
It's very just it's modern history with dragons, quote unquote. We got Ring of Power, which was the creation of a fucking volcano by a dark lord and orcs wanting their own civil right and elven civil war. And like
ADAR 2024, just saying.
We got that shit. And then we got Willow, which is heartfelt, just like.
And we're not even done yet. The fucking D&D movie's coming.
Later in March. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got so much good fantasy going on right now. Like it's and maybe we'll talk about the clusterfuck that is D&D right now at the end of the pod if we have time as well. Because there's more.
Are you talking about like
on there too? So that aside. Fantasy fans are
avoiding that. We'll talk about that at the very end.
Right. We'll move on from this now, and we'll get back to Willow. That later.
Getting into Mando season 3 starting March 1st, and stay tuned because Mando season 3 on March 1st is going to be the first time that Kyle Katarn and the Bendu will be able to react together at the.
He's going to be right here,
and we'll
right in here,
in the Katarn studios again. Yes.
I'm excited, man. I'm super excited. That is just like the stars aligning for us right there.
Yeah.
ECCC will be able to throw an episode of Bad Batch in there too, because that's coming out the same day as the premiere of Mando. And there's another double episode of Bad Batch coming. I noticed on the schedule. 7 and 8 are getting dropped together.
Is it the finale or is it like the mid-season?
It's in the middle. Yeah. It's like 7 and 8 or 8 and 9, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the last 2 also, yeah.
So let's jump. Do you want to play that beautiful Mando season 3 teaser?
Let's do it.
And then we'll jump into some of the comments here in the comments section.
And then we're gonna go shot by shot through this thing and see what we see, because I haven't actually sat down and like really delved into this.
So. And it's just a teaser. It's just a teaser, folks.
Oh, this is an official trailer, man.
I know, but it's a teaser.
What are we?
It is a teaser.
What do we stand for?
Look at them all! Look at all the comments!
Dude, I'm telling you, we're gonna get a flashback to Din Djarin in his original armor.
Being a Mandalorian is not just learning about how to fight.
Because there's a Mando in that group that has a short.
You also have to know how to navigate the galaxy.
Gotta navigate the galaxy.
That way, you'll never be lost.
Oh, look at that big road.
Grief Karga is just gaining more and more clothes.
I'm going to Mandalore, so that I may be forgiven for my transgressions.
You're fucking what transgressions, man.
May the Force be with you!
This is the way.
There's something dangerous happening out there. And by
Bro,
the time
coming in the
it's
first
over,
order, dude. Coming in the first
it'll be
order,
too
bro.
late.
Is that Tower of Israel's helmet? Who the fuck did that
Hang on, kid.
for? Joy bar. 3D,
The more Boba Freaks species is really awesome.
This is the way.
Look at that. Baseball.
I agree because he's doing his soft goo goo voice that he only talks to Grogu with. Yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah,
trailer
100%.
is trailer is
100%.
amazing.
100%. Okay, so
So sexy.
first
So
things
sexy.
first. First things first. To all the people who shit talk Book of Boba Fett and who've been going around of like, what? What do you mean Grogu came back? What's happening? Well, this is what you motherfuckers get for not sticking to a story and watching all of it and bitching and complaining.
Oh, you're confused? Well, that sucks, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, local man didn't do homework and now doesn't understand test question. More at 7. Like, come on. Watch the show if you want to know the story.
Even chronologically sticks together and like everything makes sense. You just have to put it all together. Oh, well, I don't like Book of Boba Fett.
I'm very
Don't
curious
watch
about that too.
yourself.
It has 4 glowing eyes, and that's weird.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything. It looked like the face from the helmet from Dead Space a little bit.
That's what I was thinking too, because I was like, okay, so like, is this a? Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was because all we saw was the helmet and it's dark, and then they pushed it out and it has like a loincloth and fucking like cave troll legs.
It's like some sort of primitive cave dwelling thing, but it wears a loincloth, so it's not like an animal, you know? It's not a Wampa situation, unless the Wampa was in fact a nudist and part of a civilization.
Yeah.
And we just don't know about it.
100%. I love the anatomical metaphor. Yes, it is exactly the connective tissue to the story, and it's something that really is going to emphasize to other stories because if the bigger thing that the Rebel pilot's talking about is the comings of the First Order, like this would be the time period for us to hear the first ramblings and rumblings of the Outer Rim.
I don't think the New Republic has done its disarmament yet. One of the first things that happens in the Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig is Mon Mothma becomes head of state of the New Republic, and they make the decision to dismantle the Republic Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to have a whole big symbolic gesture of we're no longer at war, the galaxy's in peacetime now, and we're going to get rid of all these reminders of the terrible conflict, blah, blah, blah. And Leia is like one of the sole voices of reason being like, what the fuck? Don't do that. But I don't think
Why are you disbanding the army?
I can't tell how far through Aftermath we really are. Because it's 10 ABY at this point, but we've still got X-Wings flying patrols all over the goddamn place. We've seen a prison colony, but we haven't seen any sort of New Republic military. So I think, yeah, this would be the time when the First Order really starts brewing, but it's going to be brewing in the unknown regions. I don't know if Brendel Hux
Do you think that's why we're
there
gonna?
yet.
Do you think that's why we're gonna see the TIE fighters and the TIE interceptors flying around? Fucking.
Oh, there's more Imperial shit to happen. I think we're going to be fighting the Imperial Remnant for at least a few more seasons before
that's true.
actually
It's the Imperial Remnant. That's
yeah,
true. That's
we're
true.
going to be fighting the Remnant for a little while longer, and then it's going to
that
merge
makes
into
so
the
much
First
sense.
Order. Yeah,
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. That's obvious. Of course they would stay on Mandalore
that's
also
a good call.
as like a military like outreach or a military post because it's like
monitoring after the fact because it's still like a former sensitive location.
It is a former sensitive, exactly 100%. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could.
Why are you counting out Gideon? Gideon could very well escape and become the big bad again. You know, I wouldn't rule that out.
That's true.
I think the big bad is Snoke.
Dude, he's in a vat somewhere. He's in some test tube bro. He's a collection of cells right now, chilling.
He's being grown. They're working on him.
He's doing his Mewtwo thing right now, if anything.
I think we will get mentions of Thrawn, but we're not seeing that dude until
theoretically.
Sure.
Because theoretically, when does Inferno Squadron happen? When does
Inferno Squad? Well,
when are all the creepy Palpatine droids going out and talking to people?
Okay, so that's two different things. So Inferno Squad is the novel by Christy Golden that takes place before the Battlefront campaign. In the campaign with all of the creepy Palpatine droids, that's right after Episode 6.
Right after 6.
So a couple of years before season 1 of Mando, all of that shit went down. So I didn't see it was with the Rebel Alliance, right? With the New Republic right now.
How creepy cool would it be if we get to see
one of the messengers?
One of the messenger
pilots. Oh, those things were so cool. You are not verified. They're just like creepy, glowing hollow Palpatine.
Yeah. And it has a battle droid body inside like a fucking red Mars Attacks Martian looking armor.
That would be sick, actually. I would love to see one of the messenger droids again. That was specifically for Operation Cinder, which was supposed to get triggered as soon as Palpatine is killed.
Yeah.
So if we saw one, what would he be doing? It would have to just be like shut down in storage somewhere, you know?
Or it could have gone crazy and like, you know,
that would be cool.
Doing its tactical droid thing.
That
like,
would be
I don't
cool.
know, so obviously we got to go to Mandalore. So I think that like obviously seeing the singing waters or the singing wells, whichever, is going to be a very like strong main point of the season. But they showed us him visiting at least 3 different planets.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious.
I'm excited for the things that they're not showing us in the trailer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because Mando season 1 and season 2, they didn't show us any of the hugest moments, and we're like, oh, that trailer was so good. How have they not given it all away? And if the trailer is this fucking epic, what aren't they showing us? I'm very excited to find out. But I want to go through this while we're going here.
Seeing all those custom helmets and like old school McCory inspired looking helmets and all the different Mando armors, like
it reminds me of Rebels when Sabine gives the Darksaber to Bo. That's the first time we see that many like multicolored Mandos standing there. So
I want to know how many of them are like cosplayers and people that the Lucasfilm asked to come over or
like they did with the 501st.
What they did with the 501st, or if these are
do you see this guy on the left here? This dude with the teal chest plate
with the white stormtrooper pauldron. Oh, the one in the front. I got you.
The one in the back, the one in the front of the group here. He's in the background of the shot, and he has a little white emblem on his pauldron there.
Yeah,
that I'm pretty sure is Clan Eldar, who we've seen in that Rebel scene that I'm talking about. He was the dude. He was the black dude with the mutton chops, who had his helmet like one of the guys. Because when they took the hangar down after she had the Darksaber, and there's just all these Mandos there ready to follow Bo-Katan. He was representing one of those clans, and I'm pretty sure that's the same symbol.
Oh, or like look at that lady with the all white helmet in the she's
so that's sick. It's a night owl style, but just white.
Yeah, fucking too.
So one of these guys has like a goofy ass rangefinder. I'm gonna find that guy too.
Is it officially a night owl helmet, Dr. Holocron? Because I mean that would kind of make sense. Well, because the night owls were more. That was a whole section.
Night owl refers to the faction, but that faction also like had that signature style of like curved eyepieces and stuff, and so now I think it just means like it's a night owl style.
I guess the dude Mandos. I guess they were very slit also.
They had very armorer looking ones, very Spartan.
Yeah, versus Din Djarin and Boba Fett, which are very just straight T.
Where is it? Yeah, this dude from Clan Eldar. He's the one with the goofy ass rangefinder. Look at that thing. Is he picking up the weather on that?
Oh, the big flag on his head?
That's huge.
Can
you get ESPN on that thing? Oh, he doesn't like I'm talking shit. Look how he turned his head.
He's fucking side glancing. Gosh.
So these shots of the N1 in hyperspace, it's like they're just doing fucking victory laps now. They're like, look what we can do with the volume and this badass ship that we got. It looks so damn good.
Do you think this is volume right now in the
100%? 100%. They're shooting the model on the volume, and it's got like the reflective surfaces have hyperspace actually reflecting on it. Like
that could be, yeah.
It looks so damn good,
especially with how reflective the Beskar armor is. Like they could easily play with reflections that way.
Yeah, He's entirely shiny, and they put him in this like
God.
glowy tube. Like, oh, it's so good. Look at how it's shining on his armor. It looks so amazing. Back to Navarro. So he does have a new pod. I see people in the chat saying that his new pod is probably Beskar. That would
Oh,
be
you
dope.
mean his baby crib?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
He's floating in.
His pod. I never thought of thinking it as a pod. But,
Well, because it's a little pod, it closes and like it
It's
flies
true.
around. That is 100% practical ass puppet, just like Salacious Crumb.
Yep.
Love it. There's a ton of practical puppets in this trailer, actually.
androids. Dude, he has like a new wardrobe, new costume every fucking time we see him. And I love that they kind of emphasize that.
I feel like it's more than that. I feel like they put new clothes over his old clothes every time we see him because he looks like fucking Joey when he wears all of Chandler's outfits. And he's just like, that's what it fucking
He's
reminds me of.
Look how important I am now. Like I was a slumlord. Now I'm a, yeah.
Next in season 4, he's going to be wearing like a poncho over that with a cape over that and like some shoulder pads. And he's just going to be like,
bro, they'll give him, they'll just give him a Pope hat. They'll just straight up give him a Pope hat and be like, look, we'll make you taller and closer to the sky.
you are now the Cardinal of Navarro.
Exactly.
The biggest hat on the planet.
It's going to happen.
Denoting your station.
You heard it here first.
I really want to know what that
He
band
has his
is
own
playing.
protocol droid. Do you see that?
Yeah, he does.
Back.
He's
Yeah.
shinier than 3PO. Look at that thing. But look at the band in
This
the
is
background.
cool.
Those guys are totally playing instruments, and I want to know what it sounds like.
He's totally a rose gold protocol droid. That's
Yeah, Grief
fucking-
Karga's got some taste.
That is
It's true. His outfit has the most character development of the whole show.
fucking hilarious. Oh,
Well,
God.
you know what? When you are in charge of an entire planet, you have more important things to do than pee.
If anything, he has a catheter.
Yeah, exactly. He has some droid technology. He went to the mods on Mos Espa who were like putting robot parts in people.
Yeah. Or he
Shout out
just
the
has
middleman.
a diaper. He's wearing a diaper.
Oh, I think that is a Grand, Micah, actually. Dude, we don't see Grands nearly enough. They're one of the original NPCs that you fight in Jedi Outcast on Nar Shaddaa, and all the way back in Dork Forces too.
Which
My
one?
favorite Gran is Mahonic from the pod racing. He's the one with the keytar back there. They're the orange dudes with the 3 eyes.
Oh, yeah. Gron. Oh, man. More Torquerudas. That's true.
So everyone's talking about this beautiful IG-11 statue, which we saw last season. I'm more interested in the gauntlet.
Oh,
Look
is
at
that
that
what
little
that
guy.
leg is? That leg standing on a stormtrooper?
Totally
helmet?
the commemorative IG-11 that they put up. I think it's actually his corpse that they have just spray painted bronze.
No, because he died. He blew himself up. No,
He
straight
blew
up-
himself up. So they took the pieces,
No,
glued them
you know,
back together, and spray painted the whole thing to give him a nice sepia tone.
I'm pretty sure he didn't he do it in lava? Was it a factory or volcano? I don't remember.
He waded through lava and then used his
Yeah.
chest detonator to take
Yeah.
out the stormtroopers at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah, no, he melted. He gone. That statue's made from pictures.
Did I say Dork Forces just now? Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean Dark Forces.
Yeah, he blew himself up plus lava. Yeah, that he gone.
Also, their handshake, very like Predator. Love it.
Yeah, what excellent.
Carl Weathers, I see you, man.
Let's see.
This is totally going down to Mandalore. And I think that they have like
Dim went
just
full
crazy
on.
weather because of the bombing. It's like a nuclear winter kind of thing.
Oh, I could see that. Just
And
completely
they didn't
atmospheric,
this could be like acid rain, you know,
completely. Oh yeah, 100%.
because the ecosystem is just destroyed.
Chernobyl rain.
Legit. It's gonna be very just depressing, honestly. Armorer.
It's
What
armor
do you
talk
think?
some shit.
Do you think the Armorer is Rook cast?
Is Rook Cass?
Yeah, from the Clone Wars.
I mean,
One of Maul's Death Watch right-handers
no,
fought alongside him and Gar Saxon in the Siege of Mandalore and then like suspiciously disappears.
no.
She's a pretty hard, like, true believer over here. Easily the most devout of anyone in this little cult of the way. The
No.
Children of the Watch.
I
You
she
don't
would've-
think it's her?
she would have.
Do you think she's a unique, like a new character, or someone that's a Mando that we know?
I think she's probably.
She's just new. It's very possible that she's a brand new character. I have this inkling that it's Rook cast, and as soon as I had that idea, like I can't find any facts that disprove it, and now I'm like convincing
I
myself.
feel like she would have had a bigger reaction to the Darksaber, or she would have had a bigger reception with the
Would be very
Darksaber
cool.
or talking about it. Or like she would have had like obviously she hates Bo-Katan, but she hates Bo-Katan for completely different reasons. She just sees her as a failure princess who, like, you know,
Right. She's a failed political figure to her.
exactly, not someone who Rook Cass is like, oh, I knew that bitch and I saw her fail, and like,
Well,
you know,
I mean, is it public knowledge that Bo-Katan and Satine were related?
probably not the Satine relation. No,
Because
not at
Satine
all.
didn't even tell. She didn't even tell Obi-Wan that Bo-Katan was her
No.
sister.
But I'm sure like Rook Cass saw the interaction though. Like,
Sure, but I'm just saying that I'm wondering if Rook Cass could be like, "You're the sister of that bitch that got us into this mess." You know, you're the sister of the worst leader Mandalore ever had, etc., etc. If that connection is known, you know,
yeah.
without knowing her personally, she could just be like, "I know what you're connected to, and I
Because
resent you for that reason."
right now, we technically don't even know how the Empire got the Darksaber in the first place. We just know that, you know, at some point Moff Gideon walked into an office and like, hey, can I take that Darksaber just so I can piss off a lot of people?
Legit,
Yeah,
legit.
sure.
He didn't fight anyone for that thing. He pulled it out of the ISB archives. Like,
Yeah,
after
exactly.
the raid was complete, like nice and
Exactly.
safely.
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck.
What a-
He's like, yo, can I
what a
take that
wimp.
Maglite flashlight off your hands real quick? And they're like, yeah, if you sign off on it.
Mandalorian Maglite. That is what it is.
Yeah.
The
Is the
Mandalorian.
Armor Omega. That would be fucking hilarious. That would be truly funny. Could you imagine the most out-handed, out-of-pocket, quote-unquote Mandalorian genetic person being the most steadfast religious ideologist of
That would
all
be
the
fucking
Mandalorian?
wild. If
That would be
Omega is
so
the
funny.
armorer, that would be fucking wild.
Oh, that
I
would be
don't hate it.
that'd be
Honestly, I
crazy.
don't hate that idea. I think it's absolutely out there. But what if? What if?
Oh man.
Yes, the reaction online would be insane. Come to think of it, she is around the right age, actually.
Yeah.
Technically, yes. Although it's hard to say how old the armorer is, because without seeing her face, we don't know how aged she is. Like your
Sure,
voice
we hear the
sometimes,
age of the actress, and
sometimes your
we
voice stays
hear her
young,
voice.
you know.
Yeah, we hear her voice, and like we know what the actress looks like, and that's about all we got. But
Counterpoint, Dr. Holocron, I sounded just like Omega when I was about 11 years old. And now I sound very much like I've been in America my whole life. So people change over the course of their lives, accents including.
not to mention actor. Well, yeah, but again, on that note, not to mention actors being actors, and the fact
Again,
that
they could just say 20 years went by.
changing of the helmets, voice changing of the helmets, or maybe she got grizzled and angry and like super bitter over the fucking years, and now like
I got so mad I lost my accent. Damn it.
who knows, or if she tried to hide her identity, who knows? But
I mean, that makes sense too, trying to hide masking your identity.
But yeah, speaking of accents and actor characteristics, so we're gonna continue on through Mando season 3, and then we're gonna tie into that first episode of The Last of Us, because there was a lot of Din Djarin isms that I saw. Doing.
I think what we're seeing is that Din Djarin just has a lot of Pedro-isms, it turns out. Because you'll find a lot of those same like hands on hips and little physicality things in like Narcos as well.
I think also
those Oberyn Martell kind of stands.
I don't think those are Pedro-isms, because I think that there were a lot of similarities between Din Djarin as like this adoptive father figure, and then I can't remember what his name is in The Last of Us, but like there's definitely a lot of character similarities between the two. So it was interesting, like the way he held himself or the way that he said certain things were like, that's very Mando of you, sir.
Definitely. There's definitely connections between those two characters, like just the narrative as well as how he's playing it. But I still think that they're Pedro-isms, because characters that don't have that in common, like in Narcos and Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones,
none of those
also have like little sassy quips and like standing with his hand on his hips and like kind of looking exasperated, very much like Din does.
There was a little bit more sassiness with Narcos and Oberyn, 100%. So I see less similarities between like Oberyn, Din Djarin, and The Last of Us and Joel, but like, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting seeing what characteristics actors are able to take from characters or what they learn from other characters and bring into new people.
The armorer is played by Emily Swallow, who is a white blonde lady.
It is a white blonde lady. Yeah, she looks straight up like the lady who played the Shame. Shame, ding 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 ding. Like, she looked like that lady. But so do you think this is
Of all the
Mandalorian?
white blonde women that you think of the one that's like wearing like a nun outfit and you can see this much of her face.
Because when you see pictures of her outside of her,
I mean, you're right. Yeah, but like
that's what I'm saying.
that example, I'm like ringing the bell. You can see this much of her.
And actress-wise,
I know.
God damn it. So yeah. So okay. So the thing that we're looking at right now, do you think this is the state capital of Mandalore?
This is the big ass dome. This is Sundari, the capital of Mandalore. This is where Maul and Ahsoka had their fight.
On the
It's also where
scaffolding.
Yep, it's also where Previsla died. It's where Savage died. This is where Palpatine fucking killed Savage. Was also
I thought
here.
that was on Coruscant. What the fuck? When they had
No,
their
no. He left Coruscant, came down to Mandalore, walked into the fucking throne room, and threw them through the glass. Like that all went down right here in these streets.
Shit. Oh shit!
Yeah, that was in these mean streets or former streets, and now chunks of rubble.
That is still one of the most glorious Palpatine fights and one of the most glorious like Clone Wars saber fights.
So good, dude. It's so good.
Two saber Palpatine fighting fucking Savage Opress. And
my favorite thing is how he does like the floor strike first and throws sparks at them right
with a smile on his face.
Dude, it's so good.
Smile on his face, bro.
And he's grinning ear to ear when he does the backstab onto Savage.
The whole time. Dude, he was having
so
much fun fighting. It was so sinister, so sinister.
And the two lightsaber thing actually makes sense too, because
Palpatine using two,
because he had two the whole time. Because if you think about it, he loses one when he fights Mace Windu, and then he has one again when he fights Yoda. So he clearly had two.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah.
So this is like the only time we see him using both of the lightsabers that he always had the whole time, and then he only loses one halfway through Revenge of the Sith. Yes, I'm inclined to agree. It's my favorite Palpatine fight for sure, and it's the glee, like how much he's enjoying the fact that like Palpatine. Outwardly, Palpatine is pissed that someone is out here playing it being a Sith and like messing with his plans, but secretly deep down, he's so happy he finally gets to like stretch his legs and get out of the office and like swing a lightsaber at someone. It's been so long.
Yeah, and his bullshit excuses to like why he did it too. Because Maul was like, I never went against you, Master. I only wanted to like, bring the darkness and make you proud, blah, 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 blah.
You have been replaced.
And then Palpatine's whole excuse was, well, if you really wanted to join me, you wouldn't have taken on Apprentice yourself, you lying bitch.
You can't argue with that.
And versus like, it's the same excuse he used on Vader, because he's like, oh well, clearly you have like this star killer apprentice that you favor. I want you to kill him. And then he did the same thing with Dooku of like, oh well, clearly you have this little girl Ventress that you're training too much. I want you to kill her. And then you
don't get that much power without being totally paranoid of everyone.
Yeah,
everyone is working to replace you with their own apprentice. Like that's the only way you stay on top is by assuming that everyone's out to get you.
Yeah,
which Palpatine did. Yeah, it was so cold. You are no longer my apprentice. I love the shot right before it all goes down to where Maul is sitting on the throne, cocky as fuck, and then you just see it all drain from his face, and he's like, "Master!" Like, oh fuck! It's like your mean older sibling when they hear mom pull into the driveway, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Like my life is ending in 30 seconds.
Because he's at the top of his game. He just took over a planet. He's a gang leader. He just beat the shit out of Obi-Wan and killed the love of his life.
Yeah, he's on top of the world right now. He just got over Kenobi. He's taking over Mandalore. He's like hella slouched in his chair, just loving life. And then suddenly just, oh God.
Yeah. Palpatine comes in, fucking double stabs his brother, and then gleefully is like, I'm gonna come taser you for the rest of forever now.
I have other uses for you.
And then the next thing we know is like at some point Maul breaks out and oh no, shit.
He gets busted out by Death Watch loyalists that survived.
That's right.
He gets busted out by some of them.
Because then that's how the Ahsoka fight happens, and he goes back to Mandalore, and then the siege of Mandalore happens. That's right. That's right. Because then he gets arrested, and then we don't see Maul until.
And from there, he fucks off, and then he reappears as the head of Crimson Dawn sometime later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then he fucks off again, and we don't see him until Rebels. So yeah, Maul's history.
Maul does a lot of fucking off in the Star Wars story. He really does. He's in and out all the time. Busy guy. That is R5. That's Palimato's droid, formerly Luke Skywalker's for about 30 seconds until they realized it had a bad motivator. There's a legend story about how he's force sensitive.
The droid? I think I've heard that.
He's Skippy, the force sensitive R5. And when he blew that bad motivator, he actually did it by choice. He sacrificed himself because he realized that Luke was the chosen one. And R2-D2 explained it to him while they were in the sandcrawler. He's like, hey, yo, so I'm on a mission to find some kid. And R5 felt through the force that Luke was that kid. And so he sacrificed himself so that R2 would be chosen to be taken.
I feel like I have heard that story. Also, shout out to the 119 people watching us live. You guys are fucking amazing.
Woo! Awesome. We got good numbers this time.
Was that a Dark Horse comic, or was that just a completely fan-made?
I want to say it was a Tales of. It's from either Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina or Tales of one. It's one of those, I think.
It was because I remember that. I remember, them having a little beep off because 3PO is still passed the fuck out.
Can't just say shit. I'm live on the podcast. Let me find out where it actually came from. Hold on.
And had the
Star Wars Tales #1, written by Peter David.
It was
okay, so
one?
It is Dark Horse Comics. It was Star Wars Tales. It's the very first issue, actually. It's what they opened with. So it's Legends. It's a Dark Horse comic.
That's amazing.
And you know what? I should read that. I'll add that to the next Comics with Katarn. We'll read through Skippy just so we can learn about him ahead of the Mando premiere.
Yeah. Because R4, he's been through a lot.
Actually, that's a very good point. I'm sure they're not going to revisit that because it's ridiculous. But if they did make Skippy continue to be force sensitive, him and Grogu are just like vibing, talking telekinetically, like behind Din's back. It'd be amazing.
Bro, speaking of talking telekinetically, we'll wait till we get to the Jedi Temple scene in the trailer. But like everyone's like, oh man, are we gonna get another Order 66 flashback? And it's like, we could, but I don't know. Some of those doors looked pretty High Republic to me. So like, what if we get a flashback to the actual Mandalorian that made the Darksaber? Like
Tar Vizsla.
What if we go that far back into the
You know, that thought even crossed my mind because, when we get to it, I'll show it. But the dirty helmet that he holds up looks a lot like Tar Vizsla's helmet from the animation that we see in Rebels. Because in Rebels, Kanan Jarrus tells the story to Sabine Wren of the history of the Darksaber. And it cuts to this like different animation style and it tells the story.
Cave art. It's like cave art.
The helmet looks a lot like the one in here. But while we're on this shot with the fireworks everywhere, I wanted to talk about that. Why do you think there's fireworks?
Fireworks on Tatooine?
They're on Navarro, I think. Well, actually, they might be on Tatooine.
I assumed that this shot literally takes place after What's Her Nuts is like, may the force be with you.
Well, okay, no, you're right. That's totally Tatooine. That's totally Tatooine. It's too big to be Navarro. Navarro's not that metropolis-y.
Yeah.
So what are they celebrating? I think it could be the anniversary of the fall of the Empire.
It could be Empire. It could be say Empire Day or Fall of the Empire Day.
Right.
It would be truly hilarious.
Death Star.
It would be truly Death Star anniversary. That'd be cool. It would be truly ironic and hilarious if it were Boonta Eve.
That would be amazing. Yes.
It would be a
Boonta Classic just lines up with the holiday Boonta Eve. It doesn't actually have anything to do with pod racing.
So theoretic, like if they wanted to do like a quick little haha, like ain't that funny?
I would love that. I would love to see them celebrating
It
Boonta.
could totally be Boonta Eve, and there's be like New Year's Eve for them. Like,
Legit.
They could have filmed this during New Year's for all.
Hey Pablo, because I know you're watching, Pablo Hidalgo. When is the date for Boonta Eve? If we wanted to celebrate Boonta here on the Earth calendar, what day would you?
That's true. We have an official Earth
Please
day.
let us know. Yeah. We've got a life day. It's November 17th. So what's Boonta? So that we can race really fast on Boonta Eve.
Maybe Boonta Eve is like the spring equinox for them.
Could be. So it's based on when the seasons change on Tatooine. Do the fucking seasons change on Tatooine?
I mean, you have two suns. Maybe
it's
you
an
have
entire biome of a single terrain feature. Like, does it have seasons?
Maybe it's like, I don't know. Like maybe you have a two sun a 2-sun summer or a 2-sun winter, and like they're just the most horrid things ever.
Oh,
Or maybe
Jesus
it's the opposite.
fucking Christ.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
the
no.
opposite. And you have a 1-sun winter or a 1-sun summer. And
We
like,
really need a Nat Geo like type program to come out explaining this shit. Be like, okay, we made the choice in 1977 to make planets have entire geographical features cover the entire surface.
I mean, same
Now
with
we're going to
Hoth.
try and make it make sense. Like,
Could you imagine like winter on Hoth? Like,
yeah, like take the thought experiment further and think about what the seasons would be like. What it would do to the ecosystem having 2 suns on Tatooine, or like it never reaching above freezing on Hoth. Like, what lives there? How does it live?
I mean,
there,
that's
you know?
that was kind of the premise of Pitch Black, and like,
Yeah, I
the
love those
Riddick
movies.
thing
Riddick,
was, like,
yeah.
the planet they crashed on was a 2-sun planet,
And it like instantly just like vaporized whatever
was-
like was within there.
oh, on the prison planet, yes,
Yeah,
100%.
when the sun would travel across, that was dope.
But in Pitch Black, I was more so thinking of the Pitch Black planet, which was a 2-sunner. That the time period that those blind bat creatures came out was during the double eclipse, or was during like,
Right, was when they cross over each other.
yeah, dude. So
That's
could
right,
you
that's
imagine
right.
like what would happen to Tatooine if they had a fucking eclipse, or like what would happen to Tatooine like if they had a double sun eclipse? Like,
Well,
bro,
Tatooine itself is fascinating because they're doing weird things with canon now. Like in Book of Boba Fett, they confirmed the old legends
that it used to be an ocean planet.
that there used to be an
Yeah.
ocean under that shit. So, like,
Yeah.
who knows? I love that they're finally broadening the horizons and not just like Tatooine is just sand. They're like, well, it used to be water, so just take that and do with that what you will.
Like Mars. Yeah, they're like, yeah, same kind of.
Yeah, that's Arrakis basically.
Dude. Well, if people were getting high on Tatooine sands, maybe I'm sure there's an Arrakis planet. Like, where does the spice come from?
The Boon to Eve classic race was 32 BBY, but
that-
I have to imagine Boon to
Yeah,
Eve
yeah.
happens every year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to know what day of the year in 32 BBY was that classic.
Like
You know
the
what I mean?
Boon to Eve, yeah, like the 32
Yes, the Rotten Invaders are
BBY.
fucking classic, thanks to Luthen in Andor, which is also huge.
The Rotten Invaders. I don't remember who the Rotten Invaders were.
From
that
KOTOR. From KOTOR. That's the fucking weird eyeballs on the sides. They built everything. The Star Forge.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
old
Luthen name dropped
Invaders.
them.
I got you. Yeah, 100%. That's right. They gave us a name drop. Yeah.
Our spice comes from Kessel, and our sausage comes from Jimmy Dean.
Speaking of spice and so another random thing that I saw going around Twitter, now that you bring
Awesome.
up Andor, was a couple of people were like, cool, Andor's done, and now we get to start like real Star Wars. And I'm just sitting there like, man, Andor was real Star Wars. Like, yes, it wasn't like Andor wasn't,
People who say that
crafty,
Andor was
like,
boring are telling
like
on
it wasn't cartoony Star Wars. Like, granted, like, yeah, Mando is going to be, the very westerny, action packy, like, like young, like, yeah, it's still Star Wars though, but like Andor just gave us realness, which is.
I heard someone criticizing Andor by saying that it was like preachy about like being anti-fascist and things like,
bro, that's
that.
what.
And I was like, well, if you fucks don't want to stop playing pretending that the Empire did nothing wrong, we don't need fucking shows like this.
like
It's
that's
your fault we have to do this.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Andor is all about politics, whereas Mandalorian is about action. Well, I mean, yeah, but there was, I mean,
If
still,
I'm wrong,
that's
doesn't the entire fucking saga start with the taxation of trade routes?
true.
It kicks
And-
everything off. Like this is a political story.
This teaser trailer did show us the rebel pilot who's really cool. I can't just
Carson Teva.
Like he straight up was telling Jin like there's bigger things going on. Like I think they're gonna get political here too, and because
They better.
Star Wars is politics. If it's not politics, it's Force legends and the living Force ideology. So
Or
either-
like cool
you're gonna-
little scoundrel smuggler heist stories, and that's
Yeah.
fine too.
yeah.
but-
so either
And yeah, it's a little preachy, but you know what? You can't have
Oh,
good versus evil without it being a little preachy. That's kind of part of how that happens. And you know what? It's okay because we need certain messages to be out there for like impressionable minds that are watching things just purely for entertainment. Let them learn a little something too about the way the world potentially can work, you know?
that's true.
Honestly, Boon to Eve might as well be March 1st because we're getting all the presents then.
That's true. I don't know what you're in reference to because I very specifically remember some blue Oops All Berries cereal that we got in Andor, and I remember some very multicolored milk that we got in Andor as well.
Yeah, he's saying he's
So-
sad that we're not getting new blue food every week because Andor's done.
Oh, gotcha. I was gonna say Mando might.
I
give
agree.
us-
I agree, Mando. Also, nice name.
Mando season 2. Mando season 2 gave us those blue macaroon cookies and blue Grogu vomit. So, and Book of Boba Fett gave us some other food. I don't think he gave us blue food. I don't remember. But Grogu is not. He gives us plenty of Star Wars food. So
Star Wars has always been political. When Luke gets to Dagobah, he tells Yoda that he's looking for a great warrior, and Yoda responds, "War does not make one great."
Mhm.
And if that's not a political fucking statement, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Like it's always been politics.
Or the whole concept of Leia. Leia's whole purpose is a political figure and is a representative of the rebellion. Like that's.
I mean, it's about fascism. It's about fighting
all of it.
fascism.
Yeah.
With a chosen one, with a nice, fantastical space opera, but at the heart of it, what we're doing is we're overthrowing a tyrannical government.
Yes. Speaking of
Yeah, that's
tyrannical
right. I remember
governments,
that. I think
and-
just on your comment of the blue food, I think my favorite blue food was the ramen that one corpo was eating.
Oh fuck yeah, that's right.
Straight up noodles out of a cardboard thing, but they were like bright blue. I loved
Dude,
that.
could you imagine? Like, I'm sure that actor for like the next 2 days. Sorry, I'm gonna get really gross here for a second, chat, but you're gonna have to deal with it because it's still funny. Could you imagine like how many people probably had blue poop after being in a Star Wars movie? Like, all right, we're gonna have you eat all this food and all these drinks with blue food coloring in it. Could you just imagine? Like, you're just, the next morning, you're like, huh, why does it look like I ate a crayon?
Can we get Todd Cherniowski in here for a comment? Can you comment on that? Did you hear about any cast members suffering the blue
poop?
meanies, as they
Yeah,
call
the
it?
blue meanies. Yeah. Did you have blue squirts, my friends? Yeah.
Actually, there wasn't a lot of blue food in Kenobi.
No, but we
But
had
the Andor cast, ooh, they better have medical on standby, or at least
That's
some.
true. Yeah, Andor had food tubes. They had the meat juice in the hoses.
I like noodles.
Kenobi gave us the fucking space whale gelatin cubes. Is
That's
what
right.
Kenobi gave us,
That's
dude.
right.
They gave us the practical effect.
They weren't
Gelatin
supposed to be gelatinous cubes, and they
they
incidentally
made
became
it.
like the best D&D prop
They
we've ever
made it.
seen.
out of rubber. Like,
I really want to see a set video of someone like taking a slice and just like dropping it. And
I feel like we kind of saw that a little bit in the Disney.
He
Plus
did. You're right.
I was gonna say, Todd, if you're still watching this right now, if you're in the
Oh,
chat,
he turned it off the second you said blue poop.
we need you.
He's
to
gone.
send us footage of someone shaking the space whale gelatin, or like send us a picture of the space whale gelatin. But
So
yeah,
it was
sure.
in fact not a space whale. It was a Nibre, which is like
Yeah,
a
I was just using
big-ass
space
stingray
whale
thing.
as a blatant. I was using it as a blatant air.
Well, I thought it was a space whale at first too.
Well,
That's
it clearly it looked like a manta ray. It didn't look like the teleporting space whales. It didn't look like the hyperspace whales, But it was still this giant floating fucking stingray looking thing that people were cutting and like sectioning off. Space salmon. Yeah.
I remember. So here's a little behind the scenes thing. The way I remember a lot of Star Wars fun facts is with mnemonic devices, and the way I remembered that the space whale was in fact a Nibre was because of the Ramones' Blitzkrieg Bop. In my head, it just went working on a Nibre, time clock gonk, and then I just remembered the scene. That's the weird way that my brain works. There you go.
As the lyric of the remembrance.
Yeah, I just Weird Al it to a song in my head, and that's how I remember things mnemonically. I don't know if other people do that.
Purgle. What the fuck was the Purgle? I don't remember what Purgle.
Purgle are space whales.
Oh, that was what they were literally called.
They're called.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Yes.
of course, everyone knows the story of how at Star Wars Celebration I came this close to getting a Purgle tattoo on my calf, but then the artist didn't have any openings. It would have been so sweet. It would have been my first Star Wars tattoo.
Runner up was to Sebulba. The Sebulba was so sexy, but
Sebulba was awesome. Sebulba was dope too.
Hera was gonna kill you.
Yes, she was.
This is a very beautiful Coruscant night shot that we're seeing. Oh,
is
because
it Coruscant, in fact, or is it Hosnian Prime?
This is the scene before we got the whole. There's bigger things. There's deeper things happening in space right now. Like, yeah. We're coming up on some cool trailer shots here.
I have nothing to base this off of, but I'm really hoping for Fen Rao. Fen Rao needs to come back in. He's badass. I want to see him and his stupid Beetleborg armor in live action. That would be dope.
That would be hilarious.
We basically are the Blue Purgle cult, honestly. Oh, good news. I got the Legend Runic rep today, so I'm finally wearing the Reputation set. It's Janata Teros, sweet new Mandalorian armor that got dropped in the Old Republic.
Ooh.
It looks pretty good.
Ooh.
And it's Pershing with the most cartoon-faced fucking droid driver. Look at that.
Look at those
It
eyeballs.
literally looks like it's animated from the Clone Wars, the way his face is shaped. Like,
Yeah. Or the fucking Backstreet Boys larger than life music video. God damn.
you just had that in the fucking pipe, didn't you? What?
like I expect this robot to start singing "I'm Blue" Tapadita Badai. Like,
Oh, fucking Eiffel 65. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
I wasn't ready for that.
Coruscant is
Like a minute after that one. My God. You're giving me gray beard hairs over here.
So this motherfucker.
Is it
I'm
Chandrila?
surprised this
Is it Coruscant? Is it Hosnian Prime? Like, I'm jumping the gun and assuming that it's Coruscant just because the war has so recently ended, you know? 4 years ago, the war ended at this point. So I'm thinking, are we, or actually no, because 6 years after Return of the Jedi, we're ABY 10 at this point in the season. I don't think the government has moved yet.
Yeah, because I'm surprised this little scientist dude is like A, alive, and B, flying around here. But he's
Well,
definitely-
he looks like he's got a rank plaque on, so I think he's actually like working for the New Republic proper at this point.
Mm.
It looks like they've adopted him on as a New Republic scientist. Or it's a flashback, and that's an Imperial era uniform, and he's at Imperial Coruscant. But if I recall the Aftermath books right, they still based the government on Coruscant for the first like 10 years or so, and then they moved it to Hosnian Prime. So I don't know what planet this could be. They all look the same, you know?
That's hilarious. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
It's too soon. Okay, it's too soon for that. It's not
the only
funny.
reason why I say that is because Terrace was one of our first video game examples of a base Delta Zero. Because fuck you, Darth Malik, who can't find people. But yeah, no, that city got the fuck destroyed.
Carson Tiba.
Fucking shout out.
He's got a little Rancor patch. I love his Rancor patch.
Shout out to this dude. So when this shot came out, everyone immediately took to the Twitter feeds and was like, "Is Poe Dameron wearing a vintage Republic Army jacket?" And it's like, I don't know. He could be. Like, that's more badass if he is. But if not, like, you know,
That's
like,
totally more badass.
that could easily be a fucking Indiana Jones jacket. Like, we don't know.
I mean, he could be wearing Kez Dameron's jacket, his father's jacket, because his father's a Rebel Pathfinder in the Star Wars comics, and he does have a leather jacket, so it could even be his.
Also, this dude's 2 steps away from having an Uncle Iroh beard, and I have mad respect to him for it.
Well, he's playing Uncle Iroh.
Oh shit, that's right.
He's playing Uncle Iroh in the Avatar,
He's
the Netflix Avatar.
Yeah, perfect.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait for that.
Excellent.
He's gonna drink so much fucking tea. You can tell. You can just tell. Look at that tea drinking guy. Okay, so this confirms that it's Mandalore that has. Well, would Bo-Katan just be chilling on Mandalore?
I don't think that Rebel pilot would be just chilling on Mandalore. But I mean,
I
look
don't
at the
think he's
fucking-
talking to the Rebel pilot here. I think these are 2 separate locations. I think they're tricking us.
Oh, wait, go back.
This is
Oh yeah, they're
Navarro.
totally 2 separate
That's
locations.
Navarro, and this is
100%.
Mandalore about to talk to Bo. But see how he's got all the raindrops on his helmet? That's totally confirming that the crazy weather is maybe not Mandalore, but wherever Bo-Katan is located. I think
Because
it is
in the
Mandalore.
first teaser we saw like months ago, we do see her in that when she's looking out of the window in like that temple castle looking thing. Like that could still be Mandalore. Like this could be that same castle tower.
It's true. It's true. We could also be on the planet. It was one of the vassal worlds of Mandalore where Sabine's family was from.
Yeah.
Because that planet did not get ravaged.
Oh, the
Creepy Cave.
same waters, bro.
Is it the Singing Waters or is it
I
the
don't
creepy
know,
cave
bro.
that Grogu was in?
It's the creepy cave.
But
It's-
this is the
He's
helmet.
pulling out the helmets.
That looks like Tar Vizsla's fucking helmet to me. It's got the Crownist. Thank you. The Crownist is the name of the planet that the Ursa's base was on. Clan Ren. Whoo! If it's R2D2,
Mm,
that would create questions. It'd be like, why hasn't he said anything?
I mean,
Grogu did go straight up to him as soon as he showed up in Mando, though. He almost greeted R2 like an old friend. Now that you think about it, he like went straight
that
over to him, no
means-
fear at all, just like, yo, I know you.
But that,
I'm not
so
convinced.
that begs the, wait. So that begs the question: one, did R2 go to the Jedi Temple with Anakin when Order 66 happened? And two, does that mean that R2 didn't stay with the ship and decided to go into the temple with Anakin and watched him do all the genocidal shit? Because that would be a completely different, side of enabling and side of being a not accomplice necessarily, but like that would mean that R2 knows way shit ton more than he ever told anybody.
Well, that's
And
on brand for R2 because he's been present for everything, and as far as we know, R2 never had a mind wipe. So
that's true, and he hasn't told C-3PO jack shit either. So.
Yeah, he's watched 3PO get his mind erased like 3 different times and didn't fill him in.
He only filled him in once when they wiped his mind so that 3PO could speak Sith. Yoda told him not to.
And
what?
Can you really blame him? Can you blame him? Like
R2 was on Kashyyyk when Order 66 happened, or Kashyyyk, depending on who you
No, R2-D2 was with Anakin the whole time.
Yeah. So Yoda
Anakin was never on Kashyyyk.
No. Someone in the chat was like, Yoda told him not to. Not like Yoda told who not to what.
Yoda told R2 not to reveal that he rescued Grogu, probably.
So who? Not to reveal.
So let's just play this out. If it was R2, he didn't act alone. Someone told him to go get Grogu, right?
Yeah, and not tell Anakin that he did it while Anakin is there.
Presumably, whoever it was that instructed him to go save Grogu also instructed him to keep it a secret to protect the fact that Grogu didn't die here, Yeah,
but which also means R2 betrayed Anakin, which means like R2 could have easily been destroyed at any point in time. I don't know.
You know what?
Whoever asked us that fucking question about are we ready to see who saved Grogu? You're causing.
You're getting your answer right now. No, we're not ready. Clearly,
you're making us have fucking yarn lines.
Saved you.
You're like, it can't be this person because this person was over here at this time. And, you're making us make fucking...
I need to make like a crazy conspiracy board. And figure this out.
Oh shit! Yes.
Jocasta knew.
Sense. Or if it was just her in general. If it was just her in general and R2 had nothing to do with it, that could still very easily. I would be very happy with that answer.
If it's Jocasta, that would be cool.
If it was Jocasta and she randomly just put baby Grogu and put him in a bookshelf, that's the best. If she just,
I think it's going to be absolutely heartbreaking, and I think it's going to be something really dark. Like Grogu and a handful of other Padawans were all rescued together, and none of the younglings made it except for him.
Oh no! It's going to be like in Rogue One where they showed us baby Jyn, or not baby Jyn Erso, but it's going to be like Rogue One where they showed us Jyn Erso being put into the rock hole and like her parents getting killed, and Saw Gerrera being like, "Stay there, child." It's going to be something like that.
I think it's more than just he was a baby at the time and doesn't remember. He's 50 years old and could recall. I think that it's a trauma-based blocking of what happened.
Oh, yeah.
I think he saw his fellow younglings like murdered right in front of him, and he was saved at the last second,
Because Ahsoka told us that. Because like the episode when Grogu and Ahsoka were hanging out.
That he barely made it out, right? Well, here he is remembering. You can see, oh God, that shot's awesome. Look at the lightsabers reflecting in the little puppet eyes right there.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
This looks like Sindralig to me. God. He will always look like Sindralig, even though I know that's not where he died. According to the novelization, he was in a different part of the temple. I don't think it's a lightsaber cutting the door. I think it's clones breaching the door with charges the same way that stormtroopers do on the Tantive.
True.
Everyone's like, is this going to be the person who rescued Grogu on the other side of the... Well, why the fuck would the Jedi have their sabers raised at a defensive position against the person who's saving Grogu? It's got to be the clones. It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Because if they knew the person on the other side of that door was coming to help, they'd be able to sense their intentions.
That's true. See,
like, if it was any other group, it would make sense that they're just scared and defensive. But it's Jedi. They should know who's out there.
Yeah. See, now that we're doing like the side-by-side shot and we were able to see the saber reflection in Grogu's eyes, now I kind of take back
3 times.
Now I kind of take back what I said previously of like, man, how cool would it be if this was High Republic time and we're seeing Vizsla fucking...
No, I do think it's the Jedi. It does look like the Jedi Temple to me.
Yeah, and it wouldn't make sense for Vizsla to like, because he never did that. He never fought against.
He didn't take it by that kind of force. It wasn't that. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, So I take that. It would have been an interesting concept. But
It would be cool if it was Riva. I'd be down with that, but it wouldn't make sense for a Padawan, for a youngling to save another youngling, because she wouldn't.
That's true.
She was not capable enough at that time to get out of there.
No, we saw what Reva's thing was. Reva was
Exactly. We've also already seen her thing.
She was the thing where she kept the dead body over her and pretended to be dead, like a fucking school shooting victim.
Well, it can't be Riva, because Riva ended up going through interrogation and becoming an inquisitor, and probably would not have been able to keep under wraps that she had that secret,
Oh, that she protected a baby.
Well, Vader knew immediately that she was actually a Padawan. He just like sensed it in her thoughts and was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you were a youngling." He would also then be like, "Oh, and you rescued Grogu, and Grogu's out there somewhere," But that didn't happen. I feel like that would have been laid bare in the moment that she turned on him, if it was in fact her that did it.
Okay, so you bring up a good point.
I love
Somebody else also said that. I love my girl.
Barriss, not often enough.
I love my girl Barriss. If anything, we'll probably get her in the Ahsoka series, and I'm fucking pumped. Even if it's old Barriss who like broke out of prison, and her and older Ahsoka have some sort of reunion, beautiful. If it's a flashback, if it's a Clone Wars flashback, and we get young Barriss and young Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Temple, even fucking cooler. But yeah.
What about this? What about this?
But Barriss is in prison right now.
Yes.
Just remember, Barriss is arrested because of shit that she did against the
shortly before the end of the war. So
she got arrested as a terrorist. So she is not the one who's going to be saving Grogu, unfortunately.
No, no. She's already in custody at this point. How about this for a crazy idea for the Ahsoka show? Ahsoka finally finds Ezra, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Oh, hey, I've been like waiting for
traveling wormholes and fucking."
He'd be like, "I'm so glad you're here. I've been kicking it in the unknown regions, doing crazy shit. Oh, by the way, let me introduce you to my girlfriend, Barriss." And then Ahsoka's like, "Wait, what?"
Oh God.
They're like together. They're like a team now. Ezra and Barriss. And she told Ezra her side of the story, and it's totally different.
I was gonna say, because Barriss would be like, she would be cougar level if she's dating Ezra at that point. I'd be like, damn, girl.
Hey, anything goes in the unknown regions.
Barriss and Ahsoka would be the same age. Shit, Barriss and Thrawn would be the same age. Like, or no, because I guess Thrawn's
he's a little older. He's a little older than she is.
That's true. Yeah.
Because he's a full-ass adult before the Clone Wars break out.
That's true, yeah. And Ahsoka's like 20s.
I would be an absolute fate. I'm not being serious. Like, I'm just like, what?
Dude, it would be like a repeat of like, here's my best friend. His name's Maul. Like, what the fuck, Ezra?
That was so good.
Finding these people.
Yeah, Ezra just like attaches himself to like the worst possible person for him every time.
People. Yeah, you're like, hey, look at my new friend Hondo. Like, oh God.
So this scene is fucking sick. I love it. We got TIE interceptors chasing. It's either a gauntlet or a fang. It might be a fang because it's so small. Like, oh, so good. Can't wait. And then they're tricking us again by shutting to Mando and the N1. And it looks like they're passing the same planet. So I'm thinking the gauntlet, like the Mandalorian ship and the N1 are here together.
Yeah,
and they're just splicing the ships together.
Flying in the gauntlet. Like, it's hard to tell the difference between cockpits.
I am confident that's the N1 cockpit.
Droid bar. Oh, and they're just fucking with us by going.
That's exactly because the gauntlet and the fang both have Durasteel going all the way over the top. They don't have an open like above you like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Look how far Mando's come, man. He was all like, "I hate droids," and now he's going into a droid bar and he's totally about to get sassed by this bartender. We don't serve your kind here.
Yeah, right. Like, he has regular hands, and he's just holding this taser screwdriver.
Well, he needs his little grippies so he can serve the cups of oil to people.
The cups of oil.
The clamps,
bro. Like, what do you think droid? What do you think?
We got 3 B1s in here too.
Yeah, who are they programmed to? Like, B1s are drones.
Well, not anymore. Because remember, we just learned that last week in Bad Batch that now the new decommissioned battle droids can be reprogrammed for whatever purposes.
Oh, and they can be individualized? Well, I guess.
Because when Crosshair and Cody went in to rescue the governor, they had a whole bunch of private security battle droids that were programmed to do their own thing. So who knows what these droids... It looks like they're just like having drinks and relaxing.
Clank is Do you
which is
see
awesome.
that? You see that torture droid in the very back there, though?
Yep.
With this creepy smiley mummy face. But look at this pure, like this super.
Agreed on the B1 voices.
This super clean, like test dummy looking barkeep droid. Though.
The bar itself is really clean too. Actually, I'm guessing Coruscant for this.
You think this is on court? You think straight up B1?
Well, actually, no, because B1s would probably be a little eyebrow raising on course. Maybe it's Navarro.
Yeah, it could be Navarro. I love the shiny R2s though.
Yes, the
Like,
astromechs are really nice,
The-
and I really hope we get some Matt
the
Wood
things are-
B1 voices. It would be amazing.
If we saw some some B1 droids, that would be really cool. We get to see more of Boba Freaks.
Well, I'm just saying these ones here. I hope that when we get to this scene, that they actually talk. You know,
or if we get to hear the Roger Rogers. Dude.
Roger. Oh god, it's so good.
But hey, shout out to Favreau. There he is.
How's Vizsla?
Look at them. Look at that little Boba Freak.
Babu Freak and his friend.
Babu. Yeah.
That would be amazing, actually. Also, hello there, Nerd Chronic. Thank you for joining us. The real MVP of the channel, editing all of our videos for us.
True.
Extraordinaire. Yeah, that would be actually really cool because Navarro was kind of like part of like anti-droid sentiment, and he like saved the town. So that would be a nice way to honor him, you know?
Yeah.
There is a shot early on in here of one of the Mandos. So this sequence, I think, might be a flashback.
1, 2,
Because
3, 4, 5, 6. Wait.
That guy right there, is Din Djarin, dude.
Which one? The one that's closest
One in the
to
middle.
us that we've
The one with the
seen?
shore trooper. The one with the shore trooper fucking pauldron just where his was in season 1. And remember
has a
how he was wearing
jetpack
like hella
on, though.
dented, like rusty red armor?
Yeah, but he has a jetpack on though, and Din Djarin never had a jetpack until.
That's he did. Well, he did say that he trained in the Rising Phoenix.
Oh,
At
which
no
I guess
point-
is fighting
At no
style.
point did he say he's never had a jetpack. He just said, "I gotta get me one of those."
That's true.
So what if that's Din Djarin in like a flashback, and we find out what he was doing before the purge?
I mean, that could be cool.
I'm
Well, I mean,
probably
this
wrong,
would
and
be-
this is
this
probably
would be
just an extra from
post-purge.
Clan Eldar. I
It
just find
would
it
still-
interesting
it
that
would
he
be
also has a
post-purge.
shore trooper pauldron.
That's
you
true.
know?
Like it would still be post purge, but it would still be cool to see like this is his coming of age of like this is after he started fighting. This is obviously after his adoption and like he's
Right.
now-
We could even like it could even be like a really brief montage of like his
Yeah.
early Mando life.
exactly.
But Chad Merle, I don't think it is either. It might be wishful thinking. Just the pauldron really like caught my eye because it's definitely the same shore trooper piece that he had in season 1.
Yeah.
But they did give us flashbacks already, and I don't think they need to give us any more of his early life, unless there's a reason why it would make sense, you know. So it's probably not. It was most likely Clan Eldar, like we saw the rest in the trailer, you know.
Yeah, which makes it
With you
question then
guys.
what that which makes brings up the question though, what little town are they dropping into and what little town are we having to save? Because
I
this
think,
desert
I
planet,
think these are not the same Mandos.
because this desert planet obviously isn't Mandalore. This is
Well,
something
look at the color configurations of their armor. It's mostly
Very-
reds with a couple of
yeah.
greens. And then
Very
when we get over to that drop ship, which is like over here,
it's blue.
they're all wearing like straight up Death Watch Mandos. Oh, he's got some red on him. He's got a little red on him.
Yeah, they still have some reds, but they're definitely wearing more
For the
blues.
blue guy. Like for the most part, I think this might be. Okay, no, there's a red dude right there. Okay.
Yeah. There's some,
There's
I mean,
still some variation here.
There's some,
I just-
some color variation because, like, even Heavy Mando, even Favreau is mostly blue.
I'm
But he's
thinking
got-
that this is all the Children of the Watch.
Yeah, totally Children of the Watch.
And they're going to be linked up with Eldar, and Mando's task is going to be like brokering some sort of a truce between these factions so that they can start growing a big Mandalorian army. Also, RIP the IG-11 statue. Like, come on.
Oh shit!
They didn't have to give us that in the trailer. Like, oh man.
Oh, damn. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
exactly. It's too bad.
We only, yeah, that's hilarious. We get it for a quick moment just to see that the statue is there, and then we get to see it.
Todd just texted me
Oh, that's so funny.
images of the gelatinous packages from the whale shop. He's delivering the goods. I love it.
So funny.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, this trailer is epic. It doesn't. I don't feel like it spoils things. I feel like it just leaves me with more questions. Like, what the hell does it mean? The whole Bo-Katan versus Din for the Darksaber is gonna be like 5 seconds of the episode. It's gonna be like the first scene, and they're just gonna get it out of the way. I don't think it's gonna be a primary focus for even an entire episode. I think it's gonna be like kind of glossed over.
Something that I do hope is also kind of glossed over is the idea that kind of came across my head is I hope this doesn't quite turn into a King Arthur story. I mean, like no hate if it does, no hate if
Like
it
an
does.
Excalibur type deal.
Yeah, like if Bo-Katan, if she ends up stepping down and then tries to convince Din Djarin of like, look, you've held the Darksaber for X number of years, you know how to use it. You could be the one who could unite all of Mandalore. You could be the one to do X, Y, Z. Like, I hope it doesn't go that way, just because, like, I think it's a cooler idea of keeping Din Djarin as more of this separate of the universe character, like
Being able to do his own thing.
yeah, like or the idea that like Din Djarin is us. He could be any normal person.
He's the common man answering the call. Yeah.
Exactly. So I hope
100%.
I hope they don't turn this into like a Hercules sort of you need to be the leader for all of us sort of a thing, instead of just it turning into like, look, we could just bring it all together, and because like there's a bigger fight ahead of us.
It's not necessarily it's like he doesn't want to lead, but that kind of just makes it more necessary for him to be the one to do it, you know? I think all signs are kind of pointing towards him becoming this like leader of the people. But honestly, it's a huge deal that Grogu's about to be the first Force using Mandalorian in a very long time. You know, I think it really could all be about Grogu at the end of the day. And the Mandalorian is the story of Grogu and what his place in the galaxy turns out to be.
Well, I guess he would be the second. Well, no, you're right. You're right. He'd be the first because he started as a Jedi.
I love that.
And now going into Mandalorian culture versus Pre Vizsla, who is Mandalore, going into Jedi culture. So yeah, I guess he would. I guess you're right. He is the first to really be going from one culture to the other.
The first since Tar Vizsla, yeah.
So if we end up seeing Grogu don a chest piece or don a gauntlet or don his first piece,
I really want to see it. I really want to see him have some kind of Beskar beyond the chainmail that he's got.
Because we haven't seen him wear the chainmail just yet. Or no, he did. He
It's in the trailer. In Book of Boba, he wore it. In the trailer, you see it just like under the, you know.
That's true. He is wearing it under his little robe thing.
I will be right back.
Fuck. But yes. So there's a lot of good potential. There's a lot of things that could be happening story-wise. Yeah, only good things. The story, yeah, the helmet with his ears poking out. See, but like even that design by itself, like it's not very. So someone in here in the chat saying a Grogu helmet with the ears pointing out. That's not necessarily a very safety emphasized design, because like that's asking for a blaster bolt to just take out your ear. So like either A, his helmet has to have some sort of thing where like, oh God, what if it ends up looking like the Green Goblin from the first Spider-Man movie, where it's like it folds his ears back, so it's just like this elongated sort of thing, so he can still hear, but everything's like just tucked in and protected inside the helmet. It would be cute, but yes. So until Grogu becomes a little bit more armored, I will yet to fully call him a Mandalorian. He's still just a foundling. Yeah, I think Grogu still has yet to cross the foundling territory, and is still to Mando. Before you left,
I'm not sure what the distinction is. Like, is it training? You have to get your badges in the Rising Phoenix and all these other things first, or is it like you've been a foundling for X number of years, now you get to be a Mando? Like, I hope they explain that a little bit more. Expand on what the rules are, because the society clearly has a ton of rules, you know. Or at least the
initiation. Not even necessarily like a ton of rules, but there's definitely a lot of particular training segments and stations to before you're allotted the title of a Mandalorian warrior or a Mandalorian.
That makes sense.
So, but yeah, imagine Grogu with a jetpack. I mean, we saw him front flipping. We saw him doing some force jumps. So I mean, it's not.
They would have to calibrate it to be a tiny little bit of thrust.
Yeah,
Because if
wouldn't
it has
be-
the same amount of thrust to counteract like the balance, like the weight of a full grown man, Grogu's just gonna go.
Yeah, come on. But think about the fuel efficiency, though, right? Think about the fuel.
Remember in Mando when his jetpack gets stolen and he's all like, "Beep, beep, 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 beep," and the little creature like goes flying up.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
he wasn't even wearing it; he was just holding it, and it like just launched him. And that creature was even bigger than Grogu, so Grogu would go freaking flying.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot that could happen. There's a lot going on.
Maybe this season, maybe next season.
That's true.
It will happen. Yeah. What kind of a voice do you want Grogu to have? Do you want him to talk like Yoda?
So Yoda. So because of Tales of the Jedi and because of what we've seen of Yaddle and what we know of Yaddle, that was a personal philosophical Buddhist monk choice of Yoda to speak in metaphor or to speak in, not double negatives, but in like
In weird turns of phrase. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, in backwards word choice. So if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if Grogu like either A, talks like a toddler, or B, talks like Omega and just, speaks regularly or simply. I think the bigger question would be I think the bigger thing / worry, I hope he doesn't have a fucking chipmunk voice. That's the biggest thing I worry about. I hope they don't give him.
You don't want him to have a cutesy. I mean, he's 50 years old.
Yeah. So it's like, but yeah,
It'd be great if they pulled a Dr. Girlfriend and like he's like, oh man, finally learned how to talk. How you doing, Mando? Like that's the voice.
Like that would be entertaining, but yeah, I don't know. I'd be more worried about what his voice sounds like versus how he talks.
I think he should sound like Danny DeVito. It's a real grizzled, like he's seen some things. He knows the way the world works. He's been a cab driver for 40 years. That's Grogu to me. I'm just kidding. No, I think it's weird though. I don't know if I want him to have the voice of a baby or the voice of a 50-year-old though, because surely his vocal cords have been growing for 50 years, right?
Someone in the chat,
No, it'll be high pitched. It'll have to be high pitched because Yoda had a really kind of a low voice, even though he was tiny. And usually the smaller something is, the higher its voice is, just because the vocal cords are smaller, therefore the vibrations have less space,
Less is more like Maggie Simpson. You bring up a good point. Grogu could sound like Marge. Grogu could sound something like Marge Simpson.
I don't think that's the point there.
Pitch, but it's still kind of like gravelly because he's like, meh, meh. Because like that's maybe just like his species.
That was a good
thing.
March.
Or like, because like Yaddle was female, but she was still kind of like grovelly. And then
so
Yoda,
Din Djarin will be like, Grogu, stop messing with those buttons, and he'll be like,
probably, maybe it could happen. It could happen.
I'm not against it. Yeah, or Patty and Selma.
Yeah,
Honestly,
he sound like
a sad note for a second. R.I.P. to Phil Hartman, who played Troy McClure on The Simpsons, because that man had the perfect voice for a droid in Star Wars. Never gonna happen now. Like, hi, I'm Troy McClure. Would have been such a good like schmoozy droid.
It could have been a schmoozy droid. It's true.
He would have been amazing.
Trash compactor man. But yeah, so Grogu. Yeah, I don't know. There's
He ate enough frogs, and he sounds like one.
Or maybe like a Smeagol voice almost. Like,
Who wants the best star, precious?
Yeah, like it could be something on that level, like something that's not chipmunk, but something that's not fucking bullfrog. You know what I mean?
So like kind of like a meatwad kind of voice.
Or it could.
Hey, Mandalorian, where we going next, buddy?
But that's very cartoony. So you know what I mean? If it was something like the meatwad voice, but something like Caesar from Planet of the Apes, where it's that meat voice, but like simple here.
But he's angry about it.
Bring this Grogu here, like force.
I'm not Luke Skywalker. He was a dick.
You know what I mean? Like it could be something it could be somewhere in the middle of like, or something like he's old enough that he can conceptually come up with a sentence, but he doesn't because he's still a child, he doesn't have like the full ability to speak, sort of a thing.
I think it would be great if he's just like,
Bitch, I could talk the whole time. I just didn't have anything to say to you.
It's true. Yeah. Grogu.
because it's a whole. It's what does his voice sound like? How does he order his words, and then also how often does he talk? You know,
Yeah.
like I agree with the less is more Maggie Simpson comment. Like use his voice sparingly when he learns how to talk,
Mhm.
but at the same time, like I really can't. I can't
Oh
even.
God,
Think
Baby
about it.
Groot.
I can't tell what I want for his voice to sound like.
They could just call up James Gunn. They could just call up James Gunn and be like, "Yo, we need you to do your Baby Groot voice real quick." Baby Groot's voice 100% could be Grogu.
You're right. Baby Groot is
That
totally
high-
going to be their
that high
blueprint
pitch.
for how they make a voice for him.
Yeah, that high pitch, but not high pitch enough. And then the way,
am Groot.
yeah, but not full Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? Like it was still,
Right,
it was
right.
still James Gunn's voice being like, "I am Groot." Like,
I'm
I am
Groot.
Groot. I am Groot. Like it could just be very short and simple.
I can dig it.
But it could be a matter of time before Grogu like starts actually speaking.
Well, he currently has a baby voice.
Yeah, we hear the
And
cooes
the
and
Grogu walking around in Galaxy's Edge has
And the
like
giggles.
the little baby sounds.
yeah, but not words.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big one. Grogu's first word. That's gonna be a big moment when that happens. And it's gonna change the show. It's totally gonna change their dynamic when they can both talk all of a sudden. I just hope they don't make Grogu like the wise cracking puppet.
No, I don't think
Turn
so.
him into an Urkel on his own show.
No. I don't think so.
Did
If
I do
anything,
that?
no. If anything, it would be more of a gizmo situation, and it would immediately turn into like almost an ethics debate because now Grogu can talk and Grogu has cognitive abilities. So if he
Yes.
randomly force chokes someone because he's having an arm wrestling competition with Mando, that's now going to have to be a verbal conversation of like, you can't force choke people. Or
Which
like,
is interesting because he clearly already understood what was being said to him.
oh, in the arm wrestling scene?
Well, I'm thinking of the scene when Cara Dune and Din Djarin are down there in the hold talking about what needs to be done with Grogu.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like the ship starts running around because he's on the joystick trying to change the course because he thinks he overheard their conversation. He thinks that they're going to take him back to the Empire,
That's true.
which
true.
shows the comprehension's already there.
Yeah. So
I hope, yeah, he'll become a little potty mouth if he hangs out with Grief Karga and his friends over there at the Bounty Hunters Guild.
That's true. That's very.
He'll talk dank as well as any of them.
Dude, I'm just waiting for Omega to use a swear word or for Omega to say something like smart alecky and Hunter being like, "Where did you hear that?" Or Hunter being like, "Excuse you," you know, like yo, like,
And then Wrecker's like, "Don't look at me."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're gonna
The
look
guy,
at
you've been having hollow calls with Uncle Crosshair again.
yeah,
haven't you?
and then like later on in the episode, like they're gonna hear Wrecker use the same word of like, "Oh, schlank it," you know, or like yeah.
This is a good point. He also was very aware that what he was doing was wrong, but he had bad impulse control because he's still a baby. And I wonder if Grogu's going to have a brush with the dark side. Like, it seems to be part of the Jedi story to like have the rejection of the dark side. So I wonder what the dark side's going to be for him.
It's a power trip. If someone were to tell you, "Hey, by the way, there's something within your cellular structure that lets you connect to this otherworldly presence, which allows you to literally shoot lightning through your fucking hands," that's up to you whether or not you want to use that power for good or evil. You know?
It's true. And it becomes a crisis of conscience for everyone who has that power, you know? And I'm just
Exactly.
wondering how that's going to manifest for Grogu, you know? Maybe Din Djarin will be put in a situation where Grogu has to tap into the dark side to save him or something like that, you know?
100%.
And he has to make the choice.
Like when he stopped the flamethrower in the firewall. Like what if Grogu's first word is literally going to be like Caesar, and it's just like, "No," and then just like fucking Kamehameha force pushes something, you know?
That would be amazing.
Or like if Grogu is just like,
I just hope
what if his first word is Din? What if his first word is fucking Din Djarin's first name, and he like, and that's it, and he's just like Din, you know? Like that's
Right.
gonna break my
that would
heart.
be really touching. I
That's
think there's a
what
pretty
I-
good likelihood that his first word will in fact be Din, you know, or
Or
maybe
Dad,
even
like,
Mando.
oh fuck me, like that's gonna right in the heartstring, you know? If it's like dad, like
It's-
oh my god, like fuck.
Something
Yeah.
real sad's going to happen this season. I think there's going to be tears before bedtime, as my dad used to say. We're going to really be put through it, not just with this Order 66 flashback, because we kind of already know where that's going to go. But I don't know. I think there's going to be highs and lows that have yet to be revealed to us, and I'm just really fucking excited, man.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
We were so excited about the Mandalorian season 3 trailer that we talked all the way through our time, and we don't really have time to talk about the Bad Batch. So let's just really quickly talk about last week's episode of the Bad Batch. Go first. Yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say, as a semi-closing note before we jump into that, stay tuned next week because we also didn't really talk about The Last of Us, and by that time, episode 2 of The Last of Us would have happened, which will give us a little bit more emphasis to kind of talk about visually, and a lot of the really amazing cinematography choices, a lot of the amazing practical effect choices for the pandemic.
I was really impressed by it.
Like, oh my god, there was a lot of good shit that they did for The Last of Us. And again, shout out to Pedro Pascal. I'm so excited to see what Mando season 3 brings. I'm so excited to see what Last of Us brings.
It's going to be amazing. My final comment for the Mandalorian season 3 is I think it would be excellent if Ewan McGregor had a cameo as Corky. And then they just never mentioned it.
Oh my fucking
has
god!
The same face as Obi-Wan.
Oh my fucking god! Even if it wasn't Ewan McGregor, if we got Corky fucking Kryze in Mando season 3, just in general,
I want Corky. I want him. I want Corky, and I want him to be played by Ewan.
God damn it! Or another random character that could show up in Ahsoka or in Mando season. Or no, I guess it couldn't be Mando. I was thinking of fucking not Ezra. Kanan and Hera's kid. I was like,
oh yeah, Jason Syndulla.
Syndulla could show up, and I was like, no, I don't think that kid's born yet.
Also, we were given a name drop of Mina Bonteri last week on Clone Wars on a Bad Batch, which makes me remember that Lux Bonteri is still out there somewhere.
Yeah.
He forms his own little insurgent cell in Twilight Company by Christy Golden, or sorry, by the Inferno Squad novel proper, but he survives, so he's still out there.
So quick final thoughts on last episode. I love that it was a very Empire heavy episode. I love that there was actually a lot of similarities between parts of Kenobi and the last episode of Bad Batch, which I super fucking appreciated. We had the wall of names for all the Jedi survivors alongside the wall of names of all the fallen troops and all the fallen clones that have died over the years, I'm assuming.
So that's the memorial for the first Battle of Geonosis.
Okay, there we go. So
that memorial is for the battle we see in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. So the fact that Cody went AWOL, first time we get to see him, big props. I was not expecting that storyline, that story development for Cody at all. Also, I thought that it was really cool and really interesting whenever Crosshair was checking in with Rupart, whoever the fuck his Rampart. That
Rupart's drag race.
When he tried to use Cody's name, he refused to acknowledge Cody's name until he was like, "Oh, Commander CT2."
Yeah, he's like, "What's this weird personalized thing you're doing here, Mr. Numbers?"
Like, who the fuck is Cody? Like, yeah, there were certain big choices that I thought were really cool and very reverberish throughout that episode.
I feel like it's an unpopular opinion to say it, but I think that the Cody thing felt a little rushed. Like, obviously, from his perspective, he's had time to think about all these decisions, but we only spent like one episode with Imperial Cody, and then he's off, and then he's in the wind, like, already.
That's true. Crosshair kills one civilian,
and Cross, he kills one civilian, and Cody's like, "Whoa, I didn't sign up for this shit, man. Like, I'm out."
Yeah. That one lady
I'll
was
shoot
like,
Jedi all day, but I'm not shooting some lady. Like,
I mean, the lady did make some excellent, amazing fucking points. But like, again, like, it was something that, like, Cody, you never thought about this before, dude? Like, Cody, you never saw yourself or thought of yourself as an occupying force, dude? Like, come on, man. And then, but like you said, 6 months later from Order 66. So like 6 months can be a short period of time, but also can be a long period of time for certain people.
It's all about perspective. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the music in that episode was phenomenal. It was very just dark and bleak, and like it harkened back for me to the scene in Revenge of the Sith with Anakin standing on the balcony, staring at the Senate from far away, like, and you could Anakin's Decision, I think the track is called. But that's kind of the same, like, just ominous vibe that I got from that whole episode. It was dope. And also just seeing all of the Clone Wars tech get rolled back out. Literally, we got droidicas, B1s, commando droids, and
The
AAT.
the commando droids. The fact that
Super tactical. The commando
we
droids were
got
amazing.
commando B1s, and like we got
BX. Commandos are BX
Yeah.
droids.
straight up droidicas, which seem to have been on like 1.5x speed. They seemed a little bit speedier and like pew, pew, pew. They seemed, I don't know, they just seemed a little bit more lethal than they did back in the day.
The
You know,
commandos were always the creepy ones. Like in the episode where Heavy and I think it's Domino Squad are on the Rishi listening
Oh,
post.
they had folks. Those commandos, they could fucking turn invisible for a short period of time.
They
Those-
put on the clone trooper helmets and like snuck in and shit. Like that one was very creepy, very creepy.
Yeah.
It was awesome seeing the droideka like just roll through the doorway and then like unfold and be bigger than the fucking doorway with a shield and just like
so fucking cool. And the fact
Love
that
it.
we got to see some Battlefront 2 strategies of like needing to be very specific
Yeah.
with your grenade throw, like
Mhm.
only
Oh,
if you
dude.
played the game.
When he
Only if
got
you
the
played
one-
game would you fucking know to do that? Of like, okay,
legit.
shields, gotta wait, gotta time the throw, gotta hit the throw right before they unfoil and do the thing. Because it's
I love
like,
the droid kill where the droid
Uh,
got hit with the popper and then he like fell through the shield and then exploded on the other side of it. Like that was dope. That was really, really cool.
there were some wonderful decisions and wonderful choices made, and I hope the Clone Wars crew or whoever they had like do the particular animations or storyboards for that episode, like really got to have some fun nostalgia.
It reminded me of the last battle from Rebels as well, where it's Rex, Kanan, and Ezra versus the other battle droids, but then they team up and fight the Empire together in that crashed separatist ship. Because it was a super tactical droid that resisted the shutdown
yeah.
order and thought that the war was still going on.
That's right, yeah.
I love that episode.
I thought
too.
that was I don't remember them teaming up. I thought it was
Originally they were fighting each other and having a war game to determine who the winner of the Clone
war-
Wars was. But then the Empire showed up, and the super tactical Kalani's like, we were enemies of the Republic. The Republic has become the Empire. We are enemies of the Empire. And then joins forces with Ezra, and they like, it's
excellent.
great.
Yeah, I do remember. Okay,
It's
yeah,
great.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah, I'm still pissed that Kalani didn't go with them back to the Rebel Alliance. He was like, you guys don't have like a good percentage chance of success, so
True.
I'm
Yeah.
not coming with you.
He Ultron that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he straight up he made
And then we never see him again. He's out there in the fucking galaxy somewhere, doing
Yeah.
something.
either charging his batteries or just slowly collecting more and more droids over time, or like
Who knows? Maybe he's serving drinks at the droid bar. He's the chef in the back. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, that's about all we have. That's definitely all the time that we have for tonight. Next week on Dork Forces, we're going to be diving into the episode of Bad Batch that comes out tonight, and we're going to be talking about The Last of Us in depth. Yes, it's episode 4 of the Bad Batch. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been a really fun episode. I feel like you can feel the enthusiasm for Mandalorian, and like the hype gear has just been like kicked into
Still a
overdrive.
month and a half away.
There's so much
Bro.
time. It's a long ways away,
much
but we're
time,
already
man.
like chomping at the bit like it comes out
Yeah.
tonight. Like
It's so fucking it's like
that's how it feels. I feel like I have premiere night energy right now. And I'm just going to channel that into the Bad Batch and enjoy the hell out of the episode we get tonight. Kinder Brothers Music tweeted that it's like, oh my God, it's that episode already? I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean, but makes me very nervous.
I think
Makes
it's
me
the
very
Rex
nervous.
episode. I think it's going to be the Rex hologram episode. So
I
I
hope
think
so.
we got 2 episodes of Bad Batch, 1 episode of Empire, Cody, and Crosshairs. This episode I think is going to be main party story. It's going to be.
I
like
hope
a
so,
main
because we
party.
haven't seen them in a whole episode. So it would be nice to check back in with them, see if Gonki was able to get repaired, because he did, in fact, short circuit at the end of last season. I remember now.
It's true. They used him in good battery fashion. So
Damn, Doc, you're living in the future over here in 2923. Tell me what computers are like in that year. I am very curious.
Yeah, we shall see.
Papa Pedro month indeed. Yes, thanks for watching, everybody. Check out the channel. Bad Batch reactions will be dropping on Patreon later tonight and on YouTube the following day. And Mandalorian will be coming in March, so you got a long time to wait for that.
That's right.
Thanks
And,
again.
Remember, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram and various social media sources under Kyle Katarn or The Sage Hope. But yes, we always love hearing from everyone. So leave your comments, questions, predictions, and or concerns for future dorky nerdy Star Wars things coming out.
Please do. We love to hear from you guys.
Since Willow just finished.
Yes, and it was great. Please renew Willow. We're gonna end this with a PSA about why you shouldn't deal with the Hutts.
The Trade Federation have no presence there.
How can you be sure?
It's controlled by the Hutt.
You can't take a Royal Highness there. The Hutts are gangsters. Gangsters.